action. Welcome aboard, Rook. Let's get to work.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of base for not a lot happening.
Well, I'll be plowed sideways. We've got a welcoming party.
You shithead! Time you showed up. We
Why
got
is
trouble.
Carl on the shore?
Spit it out! Sergeant finally choked on true soul Near's prick.
Rugno. The twat soul caused a rockfall. Trapped
Oh,
tighter than a
over
ring on a
here.
fat finger.
You're shitting me. You pay up?
That's the trouble. He's got the gold on him. Sergeant's arm is falling off with all the gnome slaves she's been beating.
What's up?
Who's the hoon, Grayman? Another slave for the dig?
Do I look
Call
like a
me
slave?
slave again, and I'll feed you your own stomach.
Ooh, this one's feisty. Thrin's gonna knock the snot right out of him.
Yeah, stand up for your body autonomy. He really does not like being, you know, anyone else's property or, you know, what have you. He wants to be his own person and have control over himself, and I dig that. It seems like he'll take every opportunity to tell people to go fuck themselves. Alright. True soul, and you will treat me with respect.
That's so.
You feel the slightest of stirrings in your head. The Dwergar is not infected, yet your minds resonate.
I'll be. You ain't shitting. Felt the tingle. Your twat soul chum owes us a load of coin. You want through? Make a donation.
Not giving you a coin.
Unclog your hole. Just shitting around. But I'm warning you. That twat soul ain't settled up soon. There'll be hell to pay for the lot of you cult buggers.
All the charm and wit you'd expect from a slaver. Even a slaver of gnomes.
It's only because they're slightly taller. I get it. Imagine slaving in other people just because they're slightly shorter than you. Couldn't be the Dwergar. I think this might be it. Oh, it is. There we go. Oh, wrong one. I'm just gonna let that do its thing. Very good. Definitely a third, but I think he ate the grenade. Let's see what you got. Yeah, he ate the grenade. Poor little guy, look at you and your little giblets. They're going on an adventure. So who wants to get some eggnog and get wasted and clear out Super Duper Mart? This guy. I don't think there's eggnog in the game, but that'd be amazing. Alright, yeah. Oh! Oh! I remembered where that was just as I stopped. Alright, cool. So, looks like... Yes! Okay, cool. I'm So easily used. So if I seem a little bit excited, hyper, and better than I've been all week, it's because I kind of fixed my sleep schedule, and by that I mean no, I didn't. And in order to compensate for that, while I went shopping, I bought 2 of these big fuckers. Anyone who doesn't know my normal order, it's literally a large iced coffee, less ice. Out of reach in game. They used to be what, 6,000, 8,000? Now most of them are 8,000. I can jump right here.
Fuck, unplug that shit, on. Getting too old for this.
I don't know how I missed that twice. Like, this game. Those should have been perfect swings. It's just not breaking. I think it's just not working, maybe. Like, yeah, it's already busted. Yeah, I think it's already busted. She deceased? Yeah, she's deceased.
Did you hear that?
Alright, let's
Go
get
on,
that.
Jack.
Let's try this new blade out. Ah, shit. They're gonna blow the door open on my face, aren't they?
Got a bad feeling about this.
Yep. Alright, that's tactical. Back it.
They have found us!
Damn it!
On the ground, cunt! Don't move!
Would a corpo just do that? Go around and lie? I mean, yeah. But lie about that. That would be a
Last chance to get the fuck out of here!
Thanks, man.
Can't leave him back there.
Forget him, guy's toast. Unless you want to wind up like him.
Yeah. I'd rather live and care about him later. Live now, care later. Let's go. Where's live by?
Keep low and eyes 360. They're in the hallway.
Enemy contact! I'm engaging!
Can't. What? Think faster! There we go. Can't see shit. Pick on the night vision. It's like they're just liquidating the whole entire building. And I still can't see shit. Where the fuck am I? Oh, I guess I was supposed to go this way.
Up, terrorist.
Hack that, bitch.
What the?
Don't you fucking dare float off. Not now. Come on, gotta get the fuck out of the city.
I'm alright. Wait, what do you mean I let him die? Was there a way to save him? Like, how would I save him? Wait, was there
Think they make these
options?
motels especially for royal fuck-ups like us? AC's busted, dirty needles under the mattress, shitters clogged.
Was there seriously a way to go save him? Because I will load a save.
No,
right
for
now.
real. Who fucking comes here to sleep? We're a couple miles outside Night City.
I thought
Someone
you were
leaving
literally just
town
supposed to
just
escape.
keeps driving. Somebody going there sleeps in the damn city. What good's a motel in the middle of nowhere? I'll tell you who sleeps here.
Fucking losers.
Just two fucking losers. And I thought we were screwed when Goro kidnapped Hana.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying because that's what Johnny was saying is you can care about him later. So stable. I love this. Oh no. Oh, whoa. Oh no. My bike. Oh my god, I'm alive. Oh, why? Alright, I guess. Get a new one. A better one. Blackjack and hookers.
Welcome to the mobile infantry.
Ooh, can I use the machine gun?
You're about to be challenged. Give it your all.
Oh, he gets the machine gun?
Sons of
Fuck that guy.
bitches.
Skull cracking out there. That us?
Johnny's idea. Wayland's drawing Arasaka's attention away from the tower.
Collateral damage part of the plan too.
This isn't the Cub Scouts, Thompson. Chew it up, spit it out.
How's it going, everyone? Alright, we're gonna do some more Gamescom today. We're doing day 2. Hope you're all ready for that. Let's get right into it. Thank you for those follows. Actually, there's a couple of them. Kihinde Jerry. Still don't read Arabic, guys, but thank you for trying. Aomi 560. Thank you all. Welcome to Mobile Infantry Troopers. You're all one of us. Let's get right into it. Is it not captured? Oh, because give me a sec. That one? Yeah, there we go.
Gamescom is officially underway. Let's raise the stakes.
All right, so we're an hour behind because I completely forgot that it wasn't 11; it was supposed to be 10. So I was literally just sitting here like doing clips and editing videos, and then I realized it started an hour ago. I'm like, ah, man, I'm so bad at timing.
Studio live on IGN starts right now.
Now it sounds too quiet.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Gamescom Studio Day 2. I'm Damon, this is Stella, and that's Max.
Welcome. As you can see, the
that should
Gamescom
be
floor is now officially open for business, and we've got tons of awesome stuff lined up for today, from gameplay demos and interviews with devs right here on our stage in Hall 7, to all the stuff going on everywhere else in all the other halls.
Yeah, coming up very shortly, we're talking to the developers of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and then playing around with a replica of the Pip-Boy from Prime Video's Fallout series. Later on, we're going to see Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 in action, as well as a look of some of the new content coming to Payday 3.
Before we get to all that, though, let's take a second to acknowledge that the biggest video game event on the planet also cares about the planet. Thanks to the Gamescom Goes Green initiative, Gamescom runs on 100% renewable energy. In addition to participating in Gamescom's carbon offset program, exhibitors are also doing their part by building more sustainably, reusing portions of their booths, and avoiding single-use material.
And even better, the Gamescom forest continues to grow, and more trees have been planted thanks to donations from attendees and exhibitors alike. You can find out more about Gamescom's sustainability efforts and find out how to do your part at gamescom.global.
We're going to check in on everyone's favorite fedora-wearing archaeologist in just a second, but first, let's check in with
So
Ian,
it sounds
one
like
of our
today I'm
intrepid
getting all the
reporters
stuff I
running
want
around
to
the
see.
Gamescom shore
Yesterday
floor.
was kind of boring for me because it's mostly Blizzard
I'm
stuff
out on the
and
show floor
other
at
things,
Gamescom
and
today,
barely
and
touched
it is absolutely bustling. But despite the name, Gamescom isn't just about
Still waiting
the
on my
games,
Pip-Boy to come in.
because I'm going to be checking out
It's been
this
like 4
Pip-Boy
months.
3000 Mark V replica
Want
that
it
is
so
based
bad.
on the exact one that Lucy wears on the TV show. I'm also going to be heading outside to chat to you lot who are still queuing up and waiting to play the games. Which games do you really want to play the most? I'll be finding out. Then later on, Max is going to be talking to the developers of Dune Awakening, and we've played Monster Hunter Wilds. What do we think of the game? You can find out later on. Plus, I talked to the developers of The Eternal Life of Goldman, which looks like the old NES game DuckTales mixed with an existential nightmare. Honestly, there's so much going on here at the show today, so let's go check it all out.
Exciting.
You're watching Gamescom 2024 right here on IGN. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle takes one of the most iconic movie heroes of all time and gives him his own globe-trotting video game adventure.
Here to tell us all about it are Axel Torvinius and Jens Andersen from Machine Games. Hey guys, welcome.
Hello. Hey, thank you.
Loving all
Nice
the different
to be here.
balances in everyone's
Well,
audio.
thanks for joining us.
That's fun.
So, comedy is a really
It
important
never
part of
feels
the
like they
Indiana
have an
Jones
actual
movies.
like audio engineer looking at this
Comedic
stuff.
timing in video games is not necessarily the easiest thing to nail.
I do love his
How
shirt,
did you guys manage to work that into the
What if
Great
it's
Circle?
got IG-88 on it?
There are several different ways how we try to implement that component because, as you say, it's a truly key beat to hit the tone of Indiana Jones and making sure that it has the correct vibe. It's also super important for us that it doesn't become comedy.
Right.
So it needs to just have the right amount of it to feel right. And there are several parts to it. One is, of course, within the narrative, how things are written in terms of cutscenes and dialogue and VO, and then performance by Troy Baker to make sure that that is delivered. But we also communicate that component in the smallest detail. It can be in the minute-to-minute gameplay, in hand-to-hand combat, in subtle animation, a lot of different small components that all together comes together balanced and then feel the feel of that comedy is there.
Yeah, it's all about finding that tone, right? Finding a banjo in the world that you can smack people with or things like that.
At the same time as the comedy, some of the most iconic, like most memorable moments from the classic Indiana Jones films are really horrifying, like really scary, like some of the most memorable moments in cinema, in fact. How do you approach horror in your game?
It's been a balance, to say, for sure, because we
so excited for
are
this
not
game.
we are really focusing on making sure that adventure comes first. But as you say, there's a sense of horror in there as well. So we've been trying to get moments throughout gameplay where it becomes a little bit creepier, it becomes a little bit eerie, and the game pauses a bit, slow down. But finding that balance between
Oh, it's that dude.
the
Okay, yeah,
cinematic
yeah. They
big
kinda touched on
beats,
him
set
yesterday.
pieces, and then the horror components. That has been a tricky balance, but I think we're on a very good spot at the moment with hitting the balance right.
Did you find that you were sort of taking inspiration from elements from each of the films? Like, were there things in all of them where you said, like, we want a little bit of this from Temple of Doom, we want a little bit of this from Raiders?
Primarily, the main reference is Raiders of the Lost Ark. So that's the one we've been dissecting the most. But all three
It's like the
early
closest thing you
movies
get to a
are,
VR game
important
without it being
reference
VR from the
to
way
us.
that it seems so
I noticed
textual and
the
stuff.
boulder from Raiders is back. Is this thing just stalking
That
him
makes
for
me
his
so
entire
happy.
life? How did that ball return?
I don't know what we're saying about that, actually.
Well, there's
it's awesome.
more
That's
on
all you
that
need
to
to say.
see when the game is out. So we have a little tease of it, but there are some familiar aspects in the game.
It
for
does
sure.
have that like 80s,
Right. And
90s
from
really
some of the
bad
levels
fighting
we've
too,
seen
which I
so
dig.
far, some of them look really quite open. Are there numerous ways to complete your objectives? Like, can you talk about some of those?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The game in its whole is a mix between more linear section and more open-ended big
John
areas.
Wick goes to
And in
fight
those
Indiana Jones in a fist fight.
open-ended
Indiana
areas,
Jones just
you
shoots
can
him in the
absolutely
face.
choose what missions to tackle, and there are also multiple ways to do that. Like, we have a lot of different options in terms of stealth, hand-to-hand combat, even gun combat, traversing around using your whip. So we try to do give the player agency to allow, like, what would Indy do here, and let you role play almost.
The other
as
thing about
Indiana
this is I
Jones
don't want to
and
see
try
too much, so I'm glad they're
accomplish
showing
the
like the same
mission
10
as you see
clips.
fit.
Right.
Does that sort of speak to the larger philosophy of like replaying the game and stuff like that, giving people like the sort of the option of going back in a second time and
Yeah,
maybe
I'll
going,
see
hey, I'm going to go this one a
HK-47.
little more guns blazing or a little more stealth?
Well, actually, for this game,
It's probably on his back,
because
let's
it's
be
so
honest.
open-ended, we're thinking about replayability a little bit
He's
different
have, like,
than,
a
for
little
example, the Wolfenstein
bubble with him
titles.
saying,
In
meat
this
bags.
game, we allow you to go back and revisit previous areas to really explore all the content there is there and to 100% the game. And we have the journal, which is a key tool for this game, that you basically, it starts blank and you fill it out with your whole journey, your whole adventure.
There's a couple
goes in
games that
there,
do
every
that, and I
photo
really
that
dig
you
it.
take. every note that you find, and the idea is that when that's fully complete, that's when you've 100% of the game and see everything that game has to offer.
So when you say revisit areas, do you mean like travel back to an area, or more like a chapter select?
It's more like a chapter select. There's a tweak to it. We allow you to bring back any abilities or equipment that you have unlocked. So it's kind of a
that's cool. So you can, like,
it's
New
a
Game
narrative
Plus kind of.
break in
Or
some
like what you
ways,
used to
but
do with,
it's
Assassin's
really
Creed.
good for being able to explore and exhaust everything that there is into the game.
I want to. Oh no, go for it.
Oh, the game is at point very big, so there is plenty of opportunities for exploration, and that's something we constantly try to push the player to indulge in. And as you go along, you will find, oh,
Realized I forgot
there
the
are
film
things that I
mic
maybe
on.
missed. There are things that I want to revisit. There are things that I want to explore more. So.
And it's really important as well because we leave a lot of content here as optional.
Odd
Like, the
Howard.
story is
Oh,
really,
I
really
didn't even
important
know
for
he was
the
taking
people
part
who
in that,
just
but he
wanna
does
explore
like
that.
adventures and writing,
You know,
so
the game is going to be
that
shorter,
could be
but
really
for
good then.
the people who want to experience everything,
Like,
there's
yeah,
a
some of his
lot
games
things
come
to
out
explore,
broken, but, you know,
and it's
it's
a
not
really
Fallout.
big game.
You
Or Elder
mentioned
Scrolls.
the sort of like unlocking abilities.
I'll give him a
I wanna kinda
pass.
tug on that a little bit because that sounds really cool to me. Indiana Jones is like, he's sort of the same guy through all of the movies, but in a video game that would get boring after a while. So tell me about these, like how he's learning more and adapting and learning new moves and stuff.
So throughout the game, you will find these adventure books. These are books that are in the world, like interesting books that each one of them contain an ability. And you can unlock that ability using adventure points. And adventure points is something you find by exploration, by completing mysteries and missions and finding these notes and filling out your journal. So it's almost like kind of a skill system, skill tree.
Awesome. Well, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle looks amazing. You guys.
I
announced
love
release
that a
date
lot of the
yesterday,
devs during
December 7th?
Gamescom,
December 9th.
9th.
they've been
That's trying to
trying
get
not to
the
give
2
away
days
too
early.
much, and you literally look at them,
Thank
they're
you
like,
guys so much for
"Oh
coming."
God, was that
Thank
too
you.
much?"
That segment went so well, I think it belongs in a museum. Thank you all so much for joining us. We can't wait for this game.
Stick around because we've got lots
Oh,
more
that was so
Gamescom
bad.
coverage ahead right here on IGN.
All right, so if it's a game I'm not super interested in, I'm gonna go grab a drink.
You have an assortment of Vault-Tec equipment.
If you are a fan of
Oh,
a
I can't
Fallout
wait for
TV
season
show,
2.
or even better, a Fallout cosplayer, Pip, boy, do I have an extra special thing to
Dude,
show
he
you
looks
right
like he
now,
did a
because
line
I'm
just
here
before
with Chris
this.
Bernardo from the One
God
Company,
damn.
who has created this amazing Pip-Boy 3000 Mark V replica based on the TV show that Lucy wears, right?
Absolutely. 100% based on it, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, it is modeled exactly
actually
on
has
the
a
one
radio,
that
which
Lucy
is
wears.
cool.
Actually, it's the male version because although the front was the same, Lucy's arm was smaller, so she had a slightly narrower wrist. Right. So a slightly bigger one of those. Except the one in the show has a phone behind it, which was what gives you the screen, whereas this one's all built in. It's a proper screen, everything working.
That's why I
you
bought
can
it.
adjust it. I mean, you can see at the
Can't
moment.
remember, it was
he's-
like $100
we're
when
looking
I-
at,
when I ordered
Vault Boy
it.
walking. We can adjust his.
But yeah, we're
do
waiting.
that
I
jet
think
that
it
you
comes
can
in
see.
November.
Oh wow! Yeah, using the knob at
Really
the sides.
excited.
The
Animation's changing.
Yeah.
What kind of screen is it? It's quite this nice and bright.
It is. Yeah, it's a color actually. Although we only show monochrome in this case, but it's an LCD.
And what kind of materials is it built
That means
out
you
of?
can
I know you got
probably,
the
modify
LCD
it
screen, but you
later
want
on,
something
which is sweet.
solid to keep it safe.
Yeah, you do. So the whole of this front portion here is die cast in zinc.
Okay.
And then that's really lovely. The screen itself is made of this plastic called Tritan, which is a very glass-like plastic.
Yeah.
And then the back of it is made in ABS.
Honestly,
if
it
you'd
really
made the
does
whole
look
thing
so
in
good.
zinc, it would be much too heavy. But you can feel the weight of it anyway. It's got quite a weight.
There's the way. Not too unmanageable.
Yeah, it's not it doesn't feel right, but you would want to have
My
something
left
that's
arm's
solid
gonna get
metal
so
on it.
much stronger.
I'm quite an old school
It's gonna catch up
technology
to my
kind of person.
right.
I like big clicky clacky buttons and things you can twist and turn that click.
Yeah.
Is there clicking style?
Oh, there is mechanisms here. This is so cool. So in the clock, if we want to set the clock, we'll go to maintenance.
Yep.
We'll go down to set the clock.
I can see that kind of like the nice little.
Well, look at this. And here we go. You have tried.
Did you click in the button? Oh yeah, it's got a nice cloud to the lever across.
Just try rolling it round. You see how it
Oh wow, yeah.
beautiful. So
That feels great.
if you'll see that the radio light also lights up a warm color.
If I remember correct, it also has a Bluetooth
here,
connection.
The up or here, you tune it.
I mean, this is one of my favorite features, that you can actually tune into real FM radio.
You can. So
you might be able to jailbreak it later on and do stupid shit with it, like adding like some of the games,
but when you do, you get
like the mini games from the games.
Is that the waveform?
Someone's definitely gonna run Doom on it, you know.
Signal, amazing.
And you also have KPSS radio, and then if you press the button, we can't hear it again. It is phenomenally noisy in here, but what you get is DJ Carl, amazing, horrible little scratchy violins.
Now, obviously, the best thing about this replica is that it is a product that you can own. You can even pre-order it right now at store.ign.com.
Yeah, let
and
me see if
comes
one
in this
shipped at all
beautiful
yet.
box.
Yeah, it's
Like,
it's
what's
got
the
actually a really nice
status on
packing
it?
box that goes around it. It's really lovely.
So this really
I can't
is
wait to get it.
the best thing a Fallout fan could own. And in fact, I really want to own it now as well. Can I give it a go?
Well, I think so. I think you need to be in the kit, the outfit.
Okay, I can sort that out. All right, Chris, strap it on me.
Well, okay, you are okay. Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. You're
He's
on
like
the
close
moment of
enough.
truth.
He's almost trembling with excitement.
I am. I feel like I'm part of the show already.
Here we go. Let's just clip it into place.
A nice big chunky click. And look at that. That weight feels great, actually. Now, I better be careful not to drop this one on the floor. Otherwise, it's going to be your vault.
Get it?
Yeah. Well, this feels great. This looks great. So, Fallout fans, remember to head on over to store.ign.com and place your pre-order right now.
Oh, never mind. It was $200.
IGN has the most thorough,
Yeah,
easy to
$199
use,
plus
and
shipping.
high-tech maps out there. Period. And by high-tech, we mean it. We've recently added features like personal notes that save to your IGN account, and anything you check off on a map is tracked in the guide as well. It's the perfect system to get to 100%. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your
so it's been about
constant
4 or 5
companion to the
months.
biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing for free
insane.
at IGN Maps today.
IGN Store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture
Not even
passion,
showing the
you're
status except
guaranteed to
confirmed.
find something
So
you
I
love.
guess they're not shipping it
There
till
are new
like
and
November.
exciting products hitting the store every
Kinda
week,
sucks.
like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN store exclusives like the powerful
Fallout
and
stuff
spicy
does look
Star
comfy
Wars
and
Dark
stuff.
Side Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part, you don't even need to leave the house
Starting
to
to
go
rain
there.
again.
Just head to store.ign.com
God
and start
dang.
shopping today. The IGN Store.
This is lightning, right? Yeah, I think I'm hearing thunder, but I don't know. Just as long as it's not like hitting the house again. Is this? It is Kingdom Come. Okay. I was like, kind of looks like Kingdom Come. I might play the second one. The first one I had interest in, but it looked almost too complicated to get into. And then when I heard how the story goes, I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of boring. It sounds really thin. But apparently it's actually really, really good.
Bohemia, where civil war runs rampant across medieval Europe, and clashing steel and armor is just part of day-to-day life. Here to talk about all things Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is international PR manager from Warhorse Studio, Toby Stoltz-Villing. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You brought.
I love his mustache.
You came bearing gifts, somewhat. This is the collector's edition, which was just revealed.
I do love that a lot of the devs have like their own people coming in dressed up, which is
but a lot
sweet.
of stuff is included. Can you kind of show us what comes in the box?
Well, it's very precious, so I took my guard. I see your guys' eyes here, but hey, it's a collector's edition, of course, with the great stuff in there. However, all those items are actually have some connection to the game. So, of course, Henry on a horse, Pebbles, right? The main character of the game with exchangeable weapons. So either you have this
Maybe I will play Kingdom Come one. One of the problems was all the issues we had on
if you want to do that,
PC.
or rather have Henry with a little sword, that's cool. However, this letter here also has some. It's not some. Hey, thank you for having us and thank you for buying the collector's edition. That's actually a letter.
Thank you for your money.
The game ends with you getting a letter which you are supposed to carry to that castle and ask the lords if they're on your side or not. In KCD2, you still have that letter, but in the beginning, everything goes south, you lose it. You theoretically know what's inside, but you never open it. However, if you have the collector's edition, then you get the real deal, the real
That's
letter,
kind of fun.
and you will actually find out what the lords of Ratai and so on, what they actually want from you.
Oh,
no spoilers.
No spoilers.
Get it
Oh,
yourself.
I'm gonna pause it. Don't even.
Absolutely. And of
Gonna
course,
4K find
the
it.
map of Kuttenberg, Kutna Horror, because that one is
Oh, it's
the
a cloth
big
map.
addition
That's
to
cool.
Kingdom Come Deliverance, and also it was the biggest challenge to put in the game because it has thousands of NPCs there with daily.
I kind of want maps and stuff on the
Absolutely.
walls.
Impressive. Also, what's
Plus,
the?
I still
is
gotta
there a
repaint
lock
the
on
wall
there?
over there.
Well, there's a love and hate relationship with our lockpicking mechanism. So I thought, hey, you know what? Let's put a lockpicking mechanism on top.
No.
Don't worry, everyone. Right? You don't have to put out your lockpicks and start to do something there. It's just like a.
Oh, I thought
like
they were
a
literally trying to
memento.
bully people.
This is a very
Of harder
thoughtful
times.
collector's edition. Now let's take a look at the game.
That's a really nice
itself.
box, though. Is that
You
wood or-
just showed off gameplay very recently. We've got a.
I imagine
even
it's
a
not wood. That they wouldn't waste
chunk
that kind of
check
money.
out here. Set the stage. What's going on for us here? What's going on?
So
Kinda looks
first
like
of all,
Witcher
we are seeing here
2's,
something is going on. They
trailers.
want to hang someone, actually someone from the Devil's Pack, because in KCD2
Or
now,
sorry, Witcher 3.
Henry
when
can't
they were trying
deal
to
with the
hang
things
people.
himself anymore. He needs a group of friends. In KCD1, you're pretty much alone and just dealing with local nobles and bandits and I don't know what. In KCD2 now, you're going in the bigger stages where kings are involved, where armies are involved. And Henry, I sometimes say that
There's our
in
boy.
KCD1, Henry was the champion of the Sunday League, and now
Yeah,
in
I watched
KCD2,
other people
he's
play
like
'cause I just-
supposed to play in the
I thought
Premier
it was
League,
gonna be
but,
too
well, he knows
complicated.
the sport, but he needs to learn more and get bigger and better. And he will quickly realize that he needs friends and that he needs a gang to push everything forward.
Also, I
and
was pretty
the
broke during
poor
that
fellow
time.
we saw there is Komar or Mosquito, and he didn't look that well, but let's see how that's going on.
Now we've got the map pulled up here. How big is this compared to the original?
Well, that really depends. I mean, we say twice the size. However, it depends which numbers you're
imagining they're just
comparing
making
there.
it more
but
dense.
generally, two big maps. One is a tiny bit smaller. One is a tiny bit bigger. One is more countryside, as you can see here. Deep forests, huge sandstone formation, really wonderful. This reminds us a little bit of KCD1, of course, because someone said that we have the nicest forests there are in video games. But the second map is the one that will invite you to Kutna Hora, which is today a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and that will be more industrious. There will be silver mining going on. The armies and the kings and everyone will be there.
And we have some gameplay a little further on that's going to show all the NPCs and how they interact with Henry. But what's going on right now? What's like? I guess what are we doing in town right now?
Absolutely. So this is one of the earlier quests in the game where you have to find a few
the
guys.
frame
which,
rate's making me
you
sick a
heard
little
they're
bit,
here
but,
somewhere
you know.
around this pub playing dice with the local people here. However,
It's like 30 FPS or
dice
something.
and any sort of gambling, of course, is a problem today, was a problem back in the time, so he got into some trouble with these fellows here, and they will tell you, hey, yeah, we know where you do this, just follow us in a few seconds, he's right around the corner. The point is that the game is a tiny little bit more talkative, let's say, right? Everyone has a lot of things to say. However, you can't skip those things. You don't have to do that. You can delve into it, but there's always a way how to get to the end really quickly. And we are now trying to find that guy that owes us.
Okay. Now, it's a role-playing game. Choices matter. Tell us about that. Tell us about the branching path and player choice here.
Oh, yeah. So, in KCD, it's really not about the 100 different endings or whatever. The point is how you get there. That's important, right? Every quest, not every, most of them, many of them, can be solved in different ways. That means, well, Spartacus, sword ahead, or speech dialogue, speech skill, and so on. Well, of course, that's not unique. Other games have this as well. However, your choices will absolutely and will change the outcome of the quest and the way how they play through. For instance, you spare some dudes that are apparently trying to attack you and kill you. You don't know who they are. You spare them. They run off. And later in the game, you might meet them, and they might actually help you because those guys weren't bad.
They
were
just reach into the shit.
It was a bad misunderstanding. However, if you cut them right away, then of course they will be gone and so on.
Oh, you're trying to find
these
something.
These are the small ones. They can be big things, moral choices where Henry really decides who lives and who dies, and
now,
that's big.
It looks like Henry's gotten himself in in deep doo-doo, actually. Tell us about this. What's where are we?
We found that dude that owes us, and we were apparently not the only one who he owed to. So he said, yeah, we have that dude here who sank in pig shit, unfortunately, behind the local pub. So poor Henry had to crawl through the doo-doo and get him out there because he had something on him, a precious bow, and the dudes want the bow, but Henry is like, no, guys, I went through the doo-doo, that's my precious element now, and in a few seconds combat will start.
Now, do you need to have played the first game to jump into this one?
We tried extremely hard, and I hope we nailed it, to make sure that you absolutely do not need to know anything about Kingdom Come Deliverance in order to enjoy the second game. In the beginning, we tell you the bare necessary information.
Punch him in the face. Yes, with your shit hands. +5 poison damage.
The rest is coming
with, beat his ass.
Nightmares Henry is having, they're in dialogue.
Hell yeah, whipping out the sword like a cheater.
And so on. And these things will be slowly but steadily brought to you. Never with fist in your face, but really
I know it's realistic, but the friggin' forms that they're using and stuff is just so goofy to me.
I saw that already, I'm bored.
Like, getting low makes it so you don't have to block as hard.
I checked out the first game. I'm very early in it, but the second one is what got my attention. So I'm
we got one tab
ahead of time. But let's talk about the combat here.
Brutal.
Absolutely. So we
looks
are
like the combat's a little better.
To depict the historical martial arts from Central Europe or Middle Ages.
Damn, just bopped him in the side of the head. I think he's still alive. Stab him again.
Fighters in the studio and mace fighters and so on who
really
showed
digging
us how
that.
it's supposed to look like. We told them why this is not possible in a video game because you need those broad moves and everything. But still, I think we have a very good compromise and the closest you can get to actual sword fighting. However, in KCD1, people said the feedback was
early
easy
guns,
to learn, but hard to master.
just fucking boomsticked them.
We nailed the hard to master, the easy to learn not so much. So in KCD2, like with everything else we did in the first part, we smoothed it out, made it nicer and just easier and more accessible. So even the combat was really.
See, that was one of the issues I had. Is the combat looked too annoying.
Before, just more accessible with more options to choose from.
You can go full
the choice is a big part of this, and we're
barehanded.
seeing some of the different ways you can approach stuff in this montage right here.
Shield to
we
the
got a
neck.
glimpse of a crossbow. We got some stealth. We saw a firearm.
Absolutely. And we also saw that it can go super south when you're like in the stocks there. So the early gunpowder weapons is something that became slowly but steadily popular on medieval battlefields around 1403, a bit earlier, a bit later. So this is something that we also added to the game. However, KCD is not becoming a shooter all of a sudden. Very important. It's still an RPG which focuses on melee combat.
Away,
however, those super weapons, let's call them super weapons, is more something like a ultimate weapon, right? You fire once, you kill him in one shot, and then you switch to your melee weapon and go ahead. And to make this a little bit easier, we made it easier also for players to change weapons in combat and so on, that you can really have kind of sets that you can pre-prepare and so on to make it just more smoother and feel better.
Now, what's Henry up to? We just saw him. He was in. He got covered in pig excrement. What is that? How does that affect his reputation and his experience? in the game.
So the goal is that all the NPCs in the world are living and breathing off. They do something, they go somewhere, and they will react to you as well.
So yeah,
if you are covered in
took a page from Red
pig
Dead
excrement, then they will react to you. They will say, "Dude, you stink," or stealth will be harder, or
they'll smell you coming from a mile away,
and so on. So these things really affect you, and you as Henry, or you as the gamer, have to then take care of yourself. Don't be afraid. This is not a survival game all of a sudden as well. It's like these little elements there, the details that make this game so great and so immersive, because that is what we want actually.
You'll find a
you
river.
see on screen that Henry is going through doo-doo, so of course he's supposed to be dirty and stinky and whatever, and needs to take care of it. So where to go? Bathhouse.
What are the different options here in the bathhouse? we don't have to go into that right now, I suppose, but it's a mature game.
Yes, happy
I
ending.
Talk about the historical accuracy, because I get the sense you've done a little bit of research into how things used to be.
Absolutely. So everything we do is based on
thunder.
We want to make it as authentic as possible. So this is still not a simulation, and this is not a 100% realistic.
So keep
that's
thinking
exactly how it was.
material.
It's the closest we can get in the limitations we have creating a video game, and that is what we do first and foremost. But we have a full-time historian on the team. She's working with museums, the mayor of Kuttenberg himself, reenactors, universities, and so on, and gather this
That's pretty
information
cool.
from those people who know this infinitely better than us, and then together we're coming up with the best possible compromise to still be fun, interesting gameplay and so on, and push everything forward. So yeah, we're trying to make it authentic, but keep in mind it's just a video game.
Now, it's also a very cinematic video game. I
The way he
appreciate
has to
that,
say
it's
that.
all first person, but then we get to see Henry from the outside. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think, well, it's of course an action RPG, but the story part, the epic story that we are trying to tell there is, in my opinion, the bread and butter of the game. It's like a playable Netflix series or something like that. Really, it's really epic. You can change the outcomes. You can have your impact in that. You can see how everything turns out, and it's full of cinematics and cutscenes, of course, to make this interesting, make it awesome, and give you this feel of this bombastic, epic experience you can have there. So that's definitely a big thing.
Now, tell us a little bit about Kuttenberg. How much time will Henry spend getting to know the city, and what kind of adventures are we going to have?
Kuttenberg was definitely the biggest challenge for us as a team. It has hundreds of buildings, thousands of NPCs, so we've never done anything like that. And for the guys who played KCD1 and maybe can remember Rattay, well, Rattay is just a street in Kuttenberg, so this is like, that was a huge thing for us. And Henry, of course, and it's occupied by the invading king, so dangers everywhere around.
Okay.
It's a huge medieval city that is a silver mining town, so
I'll
it's
have to
rich,
probably
so
play this
riches
one.
to go and find, adventure to find,
Makes
and
sense. I
a lot
skipped
of
the
side
first
quests,
one
mini
mostly
games,
for
dark
financial
alleys,
reasons.
and as I said, the king is
X was
the invading
bleeding
king
me
is sitting
dry.
there right now, and as you are part of a guerrilla force, maybe you have to do a lot of guerrilla tactics there.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, Toby, thank you so much for joining us. Step into the grieves of Henry of Skalitz when Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 comes to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC on February 11th, 2025. Coming up next, a look at a few more games in the PlayOn family, including Undisputed, Akimbot, and Nobody Wants to Die.
Can I ask you something personal? Do you believe in life after death?
I'm 120 years old.
Oh, it must be nice.
And I don't have any strength left to keep recalling the past.
I think Undisputed is a boxing games, not UFC, like I was thinking for a minute there.
Sure, just let me make a blood
Used to play them as a
sacrifice
kid,
to the
too.
Wi-Fi gods. Refusing to give up.
Yeah, you used to be able to make, like, it was like PS2 or yeah, it had been PS2 or Xbox. And you can make your own custom boxers and stuff like that. It used to be a good time. And now, like, your boxers actually sweat and look good. I still don't play those sort of games anymore. Unless it's like Tekken. That looks pretty cool though. Nobody Wants to Die game. Wait, is it out now?
You know, a guy once told me, don't let yourself get attached.
Yeah, out now. Okay. Weird. How'd I not
You know,
know
a guy
about
once told me, don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner. And I don't know what that guy's up to now, but I hope he's playing Payday 3. Here to discuss what's going up next for the co-op heist shooter is Starbreeze Entertainment's Ludwig Hazelius.
Hello.
Hello.
So nice to be here.
I love saying Hazelius. That's
Oh,
such a
you
good
do? Yeah,
name.
yeah, thank you.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you. I
just
like it a
quickly
lot.
run and grab my
it's really
drink.
nice.
I was just saying you get to grow up with it, so I hope you like.
So
Yeah, no, I do.
Yeah, so speaking of your name being special, I heard you also have something else special to show us here today.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm really excited to be here, and you know, we are going to show some stuff of our upcoming DLC, Fear and Greed, and you know, it's shed a little bit of a light in terms of what we're going to do for Payday in the near future. So really happy to be here to talk about that.
Yeah, so can you walk us through the Payday 3 timeline so far from launch to now? I mean, how exactly has the game changed?
Well, first of all, like from the gates, we had a little bit of a rocky launch, and I mean, it kept us humble, let's say that. So what we kind of did in terms of addressing this was going really back to, you know, what the community wanted and trying to centralize, you know, the feedback that we've been getting and adding content to this. So we started with a strike team to really dig down to this and see what steps we needed to take, and ever since that we've been going on that route, and I think we're getting there. We're taking steps all the time. So you know, it's a good journey that we've been on. So really appreciate that and the support from kind of the community. You know, during this year, it's been special, and we've been adding multiple things, you know, new solo mode that's in beta now that we're really looking to and hope the players like so they can really integrate, and also bringing 2 new DLCs, The Boys in Blue, firstly, and then this Houston Breakout now, you know, cosmetics, weapons, among other things. So it's really great.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the Houston DLC? I mean, we know it's really hot there and that the Payday guys bring the heat, so...
Well, yeah, it definitely is. I mean, as Payday fans would know, it's a big homage to an old Payday 2 heist where we did a Hoxton breakout. And now, obviously, we have Houston, who is now in trouble. So we need to save him. So it's a massive courthouse that we have to infiltrate. The heisters has to go through there. And he's standing charged to be sentenced to a private prison owned by yours truly, Concord, which for the Payday fans out there will be very acquainted to. You know, as I said before, we're gonna release it with all that jazz, with you know, the weapon packs, with 3 new weapons and skins, and you know, 4 suits, masks, and gloves. So what people can expect from our earlier releases, but also, as we've done, as people probably have learned now, we're releasing a free heist called Diamond District. We're really digging down to kind of, you know, homage again to Payday 2. You know, a straightforward heist with a lot of replayability, and we hope our players like it. We're seeing a lot of good results. And you know, a whole slew of other things, which they should go to the Operation Medic Bag site to see. But those are definitely the main ones that we're really excited about to bring out.
I mean, that's a lot. So you talk about player reception. So how do they feel about these new additions? Have you seen any feedback from that yet?
And as I said, that we started this year about going back to kind of the strike team and Operation Medic Bag that we launched. We're really happy. I mean, it's a journey, right? And we've taken definitely steps in the right direction, and we're really helpful for the feedback from the community and the support. So, I mean, it's a step along the way. We're seeing players returning, which is really great and what we can ask for. So, you know, it's a long journey. It's a marathon for us. So we're just happy we're trending in the right way.
Yeah, I think Payday is known for constantly updating the game, and that's exactly what you're doing, which brings me to the next question. I mean, the DLC for Fear and Greed, what can players expect?
Well, so, I mean, Payday as a franchise and IP has always been about getting in, you know, heisting, getting the money, getting out. Now we are heisting the heart of capitalism. And that's not only like the New York Finance Exchange. So we're hitting it right in the arteries, which is really great. And with that, obviously, we have some new additions that we're really excited about. I know there's been a lot of talk about overkill weapons in the community and whatnot. So we're going to bring out the minigun, which I know is going to be you know, a big thing for a lot of people out there, and we're really excited about that addition. And as well, I mean, the Houston Breakout for DLC 4.
Has anyone played Payday 3 yet?
Unveiling Houston as a free playable character, and you know.
I was never a huge fan of them, but I was always happy for the players.
Setup.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to say, as a player who does not like stealth, the minigun's going to be great for me.
It's hard. It's hard.
Thank you. Yeah, so apart from the DLC, what else can we expect for Payday 3?
Yeah, so going the rest of the year in October, we really have some great updates going out, and specifically the ones that the community has shown a lot of care about. I mean, we have a roadmap.
I like that doing a lot more free than paid.
But what really we've been going down to is the server browser. It's been talked about a lot. The UI rework and VoIP, so that our heisters can really plan their heists together, and maybe, you know, do a little bit more stealth, because you know it's coordination, right?
I suppose so. Maybe I could be convinced to do stealth, but I mean, it's just really fun to go in loud.
So you're more guns blazing kind of a.
I am. I mean, listen,
nice.
I always
Hard
try to go
stealth is the
stealth,
best
and then
way.
it never works out.
Exactly.
So
you start stealthy
thank you so much for
as
joining
long
me
as
today and speaking
possible,
with
then you
us
get loud.
about everything that's happening. So.
Yeah, likewise, like it's really good to be here in the studio, and in Gamescom is such a great atmosphere. So we're always happy to have a chat with you guys.
Yes, I hope you enjoy Gamescom. And speaking of Gamescom, be sure to stay tuned for more news on the next chapter of Payday 3 coming soon. And if you haven't, you can get hands-on with Payday 3's latest DLC, Houston Breakout, now on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series consoles.
The average Cinefix movie list features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall deep dive analysis. To simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films, and before you say it, no, that math does not check out. We're not math people.
Same one as yesterday.
We can't even count down from 10 without ending up at, like, 96. Subscribe to IGN Movies and
IGN playlist away. IGN
yesterday.
partner. IGN maps into camp and interviews. You can just.
This is one of the reasons I like starting a little later, though, so I can skip through ads. Like, ha! Can't stop me. What a weird-looking Goku, though. It feels so disproportionate in a way.
Hyper-realistic shooters with cutting-edge graphics are great and all, but have you ever wanted an FPS that looks like a cartoon from the 1930s? Well,
Yes.
somebody
I've been
made
waiting
one.
for this.
Here to tell us about Mouse PI for Hire, we're joined by game director Mateusz Mikulak.
Yes.
Is that right?
Right.
And
Correct.
lead producer.
He's like,
Maciej
good enough.
Szymian. Thanks for joining us, guys.
What a great
Thank you for
attitude.
the opportunity.
Okay, first of all, for someone who
Y'all
is
got
seeing
some
this
hard
game
names.
for the first time,
God
tell us
damn.
what we're looking at. What is Mouse PI for
First
Hire?
stupid mouths.
So basically, it's a blend of all that we love in FPS
Oh, I love his
games.
shirt.
So we are
Oh, both of them
focused
have, like, the
on,
shirts.
You know,
Oh,
the
that's
key
cool.
elements that make FPS games
Ah, I
fun.
can't wait to play this.
The gunplay is
They're
very
like this and
important,
like
but on the
2 or
other hand,
3 other
we're going to add
cartoon,
some,
like comic-y
other elements
kind
from
of
Metroidvania
movies
games, for
or
example.
games
So,
coming out. So excited.
abilities, some upgrades, you know, ability to
And
backtrack
the
and
flopsy
access
shotgun
previously
is so good.
inaccessible areas. So yeah,
Love
it's a
it.
blend of everything we love in a game. Not exactly a boomer shooter, rather something that feels both familiar and fresh at the same time.
I feel like this is way older than boomers. This is like the
grand boomers,
couple generations earlier than them.
Yeah.
Now the Metroidvania aspect, we were talking about this before we started recording, but you've got sort of a grappling hook. Is that his tail?
Yes, that's his tail actually.
Okay. Can we talk a bit sort of how the levels are structured? Is it kind of different little arenas, corridors, or open
I
world?
love it. It's so stupid
so
and
it's
great.
a blend of all. So some levels will be rather linear.
Like the heads
others
just get
will be,
blown
more
off.
branching. And yeah, we're experimenting with different styles.
Like it's
of level
3D mixed
design,
with
because we want
the
game
stuff they
not
use for
to
like
get,
Doom and all
repetitive,
that.
During the
That's
as
why when you
progress.
walk around them, they're still
And what
2D.
sparked the initial idea for Mouse? Like, are you big fans of like 1930s cartoons? Where did the idea come from?
So yeah, the idea was actually, it's quite funny because an Bioshock fan art drawn in rubber hose art style was found online many years ago by our art director, and he did like Bioshock. He does love rubber hose animation style. So he approached Mateusz a couple of years ago and said, hey, why don't we make a game out of this? And Mateusz loved the idea, so banded with just a couple of people. They started working on a
Makes a
prototype.
lot of sense,
and,
too.
yeah, basically that's how Mouse was born.
The prototype went pretty viral. Like people were immediately really attracted to this. And since that was released, you've clearly gone back and tweaked some stuff. Can you sort of point out some of the changes that have been made since that early footage showed up?
Yeah, I believe that the most crucial change is 3D environments. We put a lot of effort to meld the 2D animation with 3D environments. It's quite hard to do it. We believe that we achieved nice goal, and from there we are proceeding and working more about more levels.
Yeah, you may see that we have improved on the 2D animations, but yeah, the 3D is the biggest change so far, especially if you take a look, at our materials from a couple of months ago, because it took us a lot of experiments, given the fact that the game is entirely black and white. So we had to make sure that everything is clear to the player, that the players know what's interactable, what's not, and based on that, we decided what can stay in 3D, in 2D, what can be 3D, and we had to find the perfect blend of everything of that.
Are there any details, like in the animation, in the environments, that you're especially proud of?
All of it.
Weapons rollings, we really like. We really like them. We're really proud of them. There are a lot of them. Right now we showed only few weapons, but there will be much more in the final release.
Yeah, and I have to say that I quite like our enemy death animations because they're, over the top, really exaggerated. So
Like
yeah,
how
I
he
really
drops
love
the
those.
cigar and it spins. I love that.
Was there ever a version of this that was in color, or was it always black and white from day one?
It was always black and white. from day one.
Always.
Can we talk about any other abilities in addition to, so we've got this grapple with the tail, and obviously a lot of guns. Will we be doing anything else? Any other skills, abilities?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, some Metroidvania elements here and there, so you will be able, you will unlock some abilities as you progress. So the grappling hook for one thing, but the helicopter, that is also used by the protagonist as his tail over his head. Double jump, so some genre staples like that. We don't want to, spoil everything just now, but you can expect many different options to be unlocked as you go.
Cool.
I'm so into this game. I really love what you guys are doing here. Were there
just
any
wanna see what
specific
happens if
like,
you shoot someone in the
actual
leg.
old cartoons that were like huge influences on this? Did you kind of come across any hidden gems or anything like that?
Yeah, we have a stack of reference from the 1930s, 1940s. We watch all the shows, Popeye shows till
When the stream starts
today, all
lagging.
the episodes. There are a lot of them. Old cartoons made by
like Betty Boop, Felix the Cat, stuff like this. Basically, whatever fits into rubber hose category, we always take a look. Either if it's an animation, a comic book, we
It's
want
like
to explore that,
50s
take
and
a thorough
prior.
look, and get some inspirations for that. So there's like a huge stack of materials in our office.
Now, obviously, this is a very different game, a very different genre to Cuphead, but I feel like seeing the rubber hose animation, maybe some people are having like traumatic flashbacks to like the punishing difficulty of Cuphead. Where are you pitching the difficulty for Mouse PI for hire?
So first of all, we are aiming to make the game as accessible to a wide audience as possible. So it will feature a couple of different difficulty modes. So if you want an easier experience and you want to, be focused on the story just like that, you can do that. And the game should be a breeze on easy. But
He
if you're
seems so
looking for a
annoyed
serious
having to say
challenge,
that, though.
yes,
He's just like,
we will provide that
if
as
you want to
well.
be a puss.
And, trust me, I've been playing the game on harder settings just recently, and it's punishingly difficult. So yeah, basically the choice is yours.
Nice.
I love it. Now,
You
let's
know
talk
he
a
has a
little bit about
controller
the lore
or
and the
something
setting.
halfway
Who's-
stuck
who
in
are
a
we
wall.
playing as? Who is this
And he's proud of
chilly
it.
mouse?
Yeah,
Put a
so
frame
our
around it.
protagonist his name is Jack Pepper. He's a World War I trench veteran who went back home, and first he became a cop, and after that he turned to be a private investigator. And it's a noir story, so Jack tends to usually find himself in a heap of trouble. But this time it's bigger than usual. It's a pretty sticky fondue of celebrities, mobsters, dirty politicians, and a conspiracy aimed at taking over the U.S. So yeah, it's gonna be a big adventure.
Yeah, we also have a second character named Tammy. Tammy is not a playable character, but is really important for the story. She's a young mice orphaned as a child whose mother Jack knew. While she's not participate in investigation or gunfights, she makes Jack work much easier. As she's great with everything mechanical, she's upgrading weapons, inventing new gadgets, upgrading the old ones. She can it all.
She can do it all as long as you don't ask her to make some coffee.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair enough. So how does that progression work? Like, how do you upgrade weapons? Like, what's the progression scheme like?
Go back
so
to your office,
along the
I
way,
imagine.
you will find some NPCs offering you some side quests, side challenges, and you will get some in-game currency, or you will get some key items that can be used either to be traded for some upgrades done by Tammy, or to give them to the items to Tammy so she can fashion something out of them, because Tammy is the kind of character that always comes up with new ideas to create some new gadgets to make Jack's work easier. So some of this stuff is mandatory, like some of this stuff will be put on the main path of the game, but some of this stuff will be optional. So players who will want to dwell more into the game's world, who will want to immerse themselves more, will be rewarded in a meaningful way.
Now, I'm curious. Sorry, I'm just spacing out here. Like the weapons, do they have alternate fire or anything like that?
They do.
Yeah,
they do.
They do.
Can we talk about
They're just
how big
like,
this
yeah,
arsenal
shut up.
might be?
It's more than 10.
More than 10?
That's what I can say
I'll
at
take
this
that.
point.
I'm into
Because
that.
what we have showcased so far, these were just, I'd say, regular weapons, stuff that you expect to be present in an FPS game.
Yeah, there's that other
But,
noir game
we
coming out
have
I'm
a
excited
couple
for.
of
That's like
cool
1930s,
weapons,
1940s.
still to be shown. A couple of experimental, cartoonish weapons, if you will. I don't want to spoil much, but you will be surprised by the full arsenal.
Nice. Now, when can we expect to get our hands on it? Are you any plans for Steam Early Access, console release window, anything like that?
We can't reveal anything right now.
Yeah, we cannot reveal much
can't.
at this point, but basically everything is in talks right now, and
Yeah.
the idea of providing a hands-on demo for the public is always tempting, but we also want to make sure that it's fully polished, it's perfect. So not yet, but keep an eye out.
Well, we are dying to see more. As a very wise cartoon character once said, that is all, folks. Mouse P.I. Fihar is out sometime in the future, but you can wishlist it on Steam right now.
We have lots more cool stuff on the way from the Gamescom studio, so please stick around.
We've just made it to the north entrance of Gamescom, and right behind the camera there is a huge crowd of people absolutely buzzing to get in through the doors. I mean, check it out. Okay, what game are you most excited to play?
Space Marine. How about you?
Hell yeah.
Monster Hunter 2. Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter. Space Marines 2.
Farming simulators every year, and every year I'm gonna look for it.
And this costume you've got on this cosplay, who are you cosplaying as?
Guts from Berserk. It's not quite the armor. I didn't have the time to
It's
finish
called
it,
being
but
poor.
I had the time for the sword.
That sword
We're all
is
too
amazing. How
poor.
long did it take you to make?
Probably 2 weeks.
So you excited to get in through the doors?
I'm really excited.
Hey, your Jill Valentine cosplay is amazing. I'm presuming that you have been looking forward to Gamescom for a little while now. How long have you been waiting to get into the doors?
Honestly, we decided that yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah, me and my friend, we did it spontaneously. I bought my ticket yesterday, and this is my first time.
I'm in.
I want to play the Infinity Nikki game.
How about you, sir?
I would like to play Civilization 7 and the new Assassin's Creed.
And the whole ensemble is incredible. So yeah, have an awesome Gamescom, you two. Ahoy there, matey. That is an incredible outfit. Who are you cosplaying as?
I'm Teach from One Piece, BigBeard, also known with the Darkness Fruit.
Is this your first Gamescom, or have you a seasoned veteran?
I would consider myself a seasoned veteran, yes.
How about you, sir? What games are you most excited to play at Gamescom this year?
Probably Civilization 7, also the new Indiana Jones game, and also we're today pretty excited for the indie area.
Probably Enjoy. I've heard a lot of great things about the game, and I look forward to everything.
Definitely Monster Hunter.
I'm actually looking very much forward again to playing Final Fantasy XIV again. It hasn't been here for a couple of years before. I got to play it yesterday already, and now I'm kind of wanting to checking out like Inzoi, like the new life simulation game, something in very big hype at the moment. Also like the game right next to it, Dark and Darker, looked very interesting for a mobile game, so I'm very interested to try that out as well.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
The doors are about to open any second now. Which game are you going to be running straight towards to play?
Gothic.
Europe, where everyone lives in a smaller area than the US, and yet they speak like 90 different languages.
Life is Strange Double Exposure.
I don't know who I can trust.
Final Fantasy? Ooh, Final Fantasy, amazing!
Oh, they're such awkward people. They're just like,
all games. Best
See,
answer.
what a good dude.
It's not Star Wars Outlaw.
It's not? You've thrown a curveball here. Which game?
Monster Hunter Wild. Monster Hunter Wild.
Probably Stalker 2.
Are they saying Monster Hunter? What are they saying? Here, let me click on the CC because I realized. Oh yeah, I forgot. It doesn't work during this.
Monster Hunter Wild and Space Marine 2.
May the force be with you, sir.
Thank you. The force with you too.
I love that.
What name are they saying? Shove this here.
Copa City is a football tycoon game where you transform an entire city to get it prepped to host world-class football events. Copa City features 3 meticulously crafted maps based on real cities like Warsaw and Berlin, and includes 6 world-class football clubs like Flamengo, Arsenal FC, and FC Bayern Munich. Here's an exclusive first look at alpha gameplay.
Football. Every time before the ball is set in motion on the pitch, it's the culmination of hard work. To captivate the fans, to ensure everyone's safety, to meet every need,
Ignore that.
and to ignite the city's fiesta for the game.
Figure something out earlier.
Sometimes
I think they got banned
it
as soon as
requires
they got
making
into the
tough
channel, so I
decisions
wonder what they
with
did.
lasting consequences.
Or they don't exist on Twitch. Which would be extra funny.
To elevate your football event to a global stage, to bring the best players and clubs to your city, to make your game happen in Copa City.
Okay, so it was probably a spam channel. And that's why I got smacked by the bot. Alright. I was wondering. Yeah, my email was like, hey, this person followed you, then there's no name. I'm like, what the hell?
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive
Apple kits and action figures. Store lives like merchandise long give us. IGN
Very cool.
fast game.
Yep.
Everybody, merch booth. It's today.
Hello, everybody. It's day 2 of Gamescom here in Cologne, Germany. We are here in Hall 7 outside the IGN merch booth where there's a bunch of really cool stuff on sale. If you're here, you should swing by, grab something, treat yourself. We got cool hoodies, exclusive t-shirts, a bunch of awesome stuff. There's a Geralt minibus, which is awesome. If you're not at Gamescom, go to store.ign.com and you can find a bunch of this stuff for sale right now.
And today on the IGN stage, we have Sonic and Shadow Generations. After that, we've got Star Wars Outlaws, and following that, Batman Arkham Shadow. So stick around, stay tuned.
Hey everyone, I'm here with
really
Andreas, the
loud.
producer on The Eternal Life of Goldman. Now, The Eternal Life of Goldman stars a very old man, and it's
I really
not
wish
very
you
often
guys
see
would just
old men
figure
in
out
the starring
your
roles of video games. Can you tell us a little bit about Goldman and why he deserves his own video game?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. You know, usually you don't have these kind of protagonists. I feel it's kind of you feel like you're actually the protagonist of an ancient fable or like a parable, right? They often would have, old men essentially that would, outsmart their enemies, and it feel like it makes it pretty special. It also gives the opportunity to us to, have something else as their main tool, which in our case is a cane, which, is fitting for an old man. And thirdly, there's a very concrete narrative reason why he's called Goldman and why he's an old man that I can't go into now because of spoilers.
So my first impressions of the demo were that it was kind of like Up meets DuckTales with that cane, the old NES game DuckTales. But also there's this nightmarish kind of sinister vibe going on in the background. Is Goldman going to end up being a horror game?
No, not at all. It's not going to be a horror game, but you're right. There is a bizarreness and weirdness to it. So again, I feel like, it goes well with the theme of fables or fairy tales. You have the beautiful and the bizarre, the macabre and the frightening, like the terrifying next to each other. So I
Dude's
think
having all the
it's
mental
not going to be a horror
disorders,
game,
but he's
it's
smart.
going to go places that are dark and deep, definitely.
And what kind of dark and deep inspirations did the team draw from for this game?
So I think mostly we go back to like ancient fables, like, not one specific, but like these traditions of, the big questions of life and death. Like you take your ancient Jewish, your ancient Greek mythologies basically and see like, it's about the eternal life, right? So like what lies beyond, what lies beneath, and, what even makes life worth living, I guess. So I think it's more about, the darkness and the existential questions. And actually, if you have a close listen to the announcement trailer and you hear the audio, what's being said in the trailer, that already gives you a hint what the game main horror or themes are about. So I think it's really homing in on these
Poor little dude's on fire.
the fear within us that is kind of exemplified in these bizarre creatures. But it's not like one thing. It's really like these what makes these myths and these ancient fears kind of go together.
Okay, well, in terms of that trailer, I saw a couple of enemies in there that they look like caterpillars, but they also had a fairly suggestive design to them. Do you know what I mean?
No.
No, they look a little bit penisy.
Oh!
Does that say something about Goldman's psyche? Is this game taking place inside his mind?
I cannot neither deny nor confirm that.
I was right because I said the
There's
same
definitely,
thing.
I'm with you on that. Like if you look at the enemy design closely, there's some disturbing stuff, that you sort of, if your therapist asks you, like, draw your fears, it might be a worm with a penis, or will look like that. So I think it's about that. It's, I would say like, challenging these deep fears and just like having them in those kind of frightening creatures. But in the end, it's of course what you see in them.
Oh no, that's Freudian.
Yeah.
Oh, Well, anyway, Goldman's cane seems to be pretty customizable. In fact, we saw that you could swap out the shaft to allow you to either jump on enemies' heads or also jump higher. Can you talk a little bit about more about his cane and what abilities it gives you throughout the game?
Absolutely. So like one of the main things that we said, like, he's an old man, he doesn't have like an arsenal of weapons, is his cane. But the cane is not just for walking, it's customizable. So like have 3 parts where you can shift the parts basically, and to either give you more mobility, like in the demo of an extended jump, where you can grab onto stuff, but you have also stuff like, phosphorus cane, which will illuminate the darkness, or an aura, which, will attract certain enemies and, do damage to other enemies. So it's essentially like, basically choosing the right combination of equipment for each situation. I want to emphasize though, like we want to keep this accessible and like easy to switch. You can switch on the fly, as you said, like while playing. It's not you're gonna sit like think for hours about the right loadout. Just gonna like, I have this part. Hey, how can I combine these two things for a certain situation? And we just wanna basically play around with that, and you know, give players the ability, but also like, you know, you mentioned DuckTales before, and it's a cool inspiration, but in DuckTales it was essentially just for jumping, and the cane is more than just a pogo stick. It, you know, it can be customized, it can be like a really effective and versatile tool, and I think just, you know, playing around with that and really focusing on what the cane can do, I think it's one of the strengths of the game.
Awesome. Now, in terms of the cane's upgrades, I presume we don't get them all at the same time. Does that mean that this game is going to be more of a Metroidvania style game, or is it a linear side-scroller?
As you were saying, you know, there's a linearity to the game, so basically it's a narrative experience, right? You know, you want to be in the story back and forth. You're not going to be like, sort of, you know, thinking like mechanically. Like in Metroidvanias, you often have this kind of backtracking, and then you find an ability, you go back there. I think for us, it has elements of that because there's stuff in Metroidvanias that we like a lot, right? Especially you
it's like
the
fuck,
world
not gonna run back an hour
and making the abilities
to get back where I was,
you know, worthwhile and make it count, right? So I think that's what we're trying from there. But I think we have a bit more of a focused narrative experience. There is a bit of non-linearity in the path you choose, but it's not a full-fledged Metroidvania. So we like to call it like a platform adventure, actually. Like there's an adventure part, you know, of, you know, finding new areas, finding new biomes, but the core mechanics is the platforming.
Awesome. Now, one of the things that stands out about the game is its visual style. It all looks hand-drawn, but I've heard the team on this game is very small. Have they used any AI or anything in the process of creating the look for the game?
There is no AI involved in that game. So
okay, I was going to say
really
no.
People sitting down on their desks
like
for weeks, months, and actually can take up to a year for a biome to be finished. So it's really like hand-drawn. So you're gonna, you know, first by hand on a piece of paper sketch that, then use your tools to bring it into the game. It's that classic line art. I mean, you could tell the AI to do something, but it's not gonna come out like this. And I think that level of detail, and also that it all fits together, right? It all makes sense and also works as a game, because, you know, there's also stuff it has to, you know, you have to understand as a player where you're going. AI can't do that, even in 20 years.
Right.
And I think the only way of really getting this done is, okay, like, you're gonna do this right, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna paint it, we're gonna paint some more, and then we're gonna do some more painting and animating, and that's essentially what WP has been doing for the past couple of years.
Awesome. Well, the game looks great, Andreas, and I hope we don't have to wait an eternity for the eternal life of Goldman.
Sonic X Shadow Generations is an enhanced version of 2011's beloved Sonic Generations, featuring new standalone content with Shadow the Hedgehog, who now has Doom powers. Here to tell me all about it are Takashi Iizuka and Austin Keys from Sega of America. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So, bringing back Sonic Generations, getting Shadow in there, and now Shadow has these Doom powers: Doom Spear, Doom Blast, Doom Morph, Doom Wing, Doom Surf, and more. Tell us about these. Is Shadow doomed? What's happening here?
はい、今回ソニックシャドウジェネレーションを作るにあたってですね、ソニックにはない新しい能力をシャドウに与えようということで、今回そのドゥームパワーっていう新しい能力をシャドウに与えました。本当に今ご紹介いただいたように、ドゥームウィングって言ってシャドウに羽が生えるすごいかっこいいアクション。
This is what I grew up on, except like shittier graphics.
ゲームをプレイするに伝えて徐々に成長していく、徐々に取得していくっていうところがこのゲームの一つの楽しみ方になってます。
So yeah, Sonic X Shadow Generations. We wanted to make a game where we gave, you know, Sonic is in there, but Shadow is going to have these new powers and new abilities that he'll be able to, you know, do all throughout the game. It was something interesting. All the Doom powers that you talked about, yes, they're all in there. Doom Wing is a really cool one where he actually grows wings. We wanted to have Shadow have these abilities and kind of earn them as you're playing the game to give him new things to do as you're playing the game and progressing through the story. So that is one of the new points that's really fun about the Shadow side of Sonic X Shadow Generations.
And I believe there are some other familiar faces we'll be seeing. I believe Metal Overlord was spotted in the latest trailer. That's sure to please fans. How does Metal Overlord fit into the package?
はい、ソニックジェネレーションを遊んだことのある方は おそらくわかるかと思うんですけども、
Oh, and you could do first
この
person kind of
ジェネレーション
too?
っていうシリーズのゲーム
That's
は
really cool.
一旦すべてタイムイーターによって過去が
Reminds me of that
消
one
されて
game
し
where
ま
you
って
can like
その
slide
今
down
ま
the
でこ
rails.
う歩んできた歴史をもう一度こう歩み直すっていうゲームなんですね。なので、そのファイナルバイオリザードとか今回のメタルオーバーロードとか、これはソニックヒーローズの時のラスボスなんですけども、これらともう一度シャドウが戦うことになる、そういう流れになってます。
So yes, for anyone who's played Sonic Generations, you may know this already, but the whole Generations format is that the time meter has come and kind of taken away all of time and space, and everything is in this kind of strange
there's the railings.
time
All right,
and
cool.
space void. And as you're going through the game, you're kind of revisiting a lot of the
And it's
places
just doing a
from
lot
the
of
past,
cool
and you're
camera angles, which is kind of
re-experiencing it and
sweet.
kind of putting
Now it's
time
back to
space
sideways.
continuum back.
I wonder if
So
you're
for
actually
the shadow
controlling the
side, we do
camera
have
or if it's
things
just
like
automatic to make
Lizard.
it feel real cool.
They are going to be stuck in that, you know, time space continuum issue. Metal Overlord is the last boss from Sonic Heroes. These are all going to be bosses that Shadow again will have to face and defeat in order to put the time continuum back.
And I believe we saw footage in the latest trailer of Chaos Island, which is from Sonic Frontiers, which I believe came out after the original Sonic generation. So now that you are sort of revisiting the package, adding Shadow, it's not just from, you're not just pulling from games that came out before Sonic Generations, is that correct? It seems like everything is game.
そうですね。ソニックジェネレーションズがリリースしたのが2011年なんですけども、それ以降にソニックフォースとか、あとソニックフロンティアとか、さまざまなゲームがリリースされてますけども、その過去から最新作のソニックフロンティアズまでを今回のシャドウジェネレーションズでは取り入れてます。
So yes, you're exactly correct. Sonic Generations came out in 2011, and it kind of revisited all of the past up until 2011. But for the Shadow side, you know, there's Sonic Forces that came out after Generations, Sonic Frontiers that came out after Generations, and so we wanted to, you know, go not only all the way back from the beginning,
Jump in its
but
mouth.
continue on all the way up to Sonic Frontiers and kind of portray a lot of parts of different games in
Like a really messed up Gila monster.
So Shadow's campaign within
Like
Sonic
weird
Generations, is
gills.
it completely separate, or will Sonic and Shadow meet up at some point during the game?
Get up in there.
ソニックジェネレーションズとシャドウジェネレーションズは実は同じタイムラインで物語が進行してまして、どちらもタイムイーターによってその時間と空間が消されてしまったっていう、そこから物語がスタートします。でソニックジェネレーションズを遊んだことある人には分かると思うんですけど、途中シャドウとの出会いもあるんですね、絡みも。でそれも今回のシャドウジェネレーションズでもこうザッピングみたいな感じで両方がこう重なり合った形でストーリーが進行します。
So yes, Sonic Generations and Shadow Generations take place in the same timeline. The story both starts with the time meter kind of messing with the world and removing time and space. So both the Sonic side and the Shadow side kind of have that in there. And as you're playing through the game, there are moments, for people who have played Sonic, they know that Shadow does pop into Sonic Generations, and we are going to have those kind of moments where there is that crossover between the storylines of Sonic Generations and Shadow Generations.
Cool. So I believe there's also an open world, a 3D hub world. What are we able to do there? And does it work is it anything like the way it worked in Sonic Frontiers?
はい、ソニックフロンティアでオープンワールドのオープンゾーンっていうゲームプレイが非常に皆さんにご好評いただいたんですけども、今回のシャドウジェネレーションズを作るにあたって実際のアクションゲームプレイはソニックジェネレーションズと同様、サイドスクロールとフォワードビューの、3D アクションゲームなんですけども、そのハブワールドとなる、ホワイトスペースの部分に、フロンティアのオープンゾーンのエレメントを少し加えています。これがそれぞれ、ルームパワーをこうシャドウが身につけることによってこの行ける範囲が広がっていって、また新しい発見や新しいステージへの入り口が見つかるというような構造になっています。
So yes, the open zone theme that they used to create Sonic Frontiers, that was something that people really liked. And so when they were making the Shadow Generations part of the game, they said, first of all, we need to have the Generations format. We need that side-scrolling action platform gameplay. We also need the front view, like running into the world, action gameplay, action platforming as well. But for the hub world, they wanted to take the open zone game design kind of aesthetic and mentality and design a hub world with that open zone design aesthetic. And in doing so, they created this world that kind of feels like Frontiers. You can run around wherever you want. But as Shadow acquires Doom powers, he's also getting these abilities to get to different parts in this open zone format. So your Doom powers will let you get to new places and find new stages and places to play in the game.
Very cool. I know Sonic Generations is a fan favorite Sonic game. Bringing it back, polishing it up, and adding new content. I know fans are going to be really excited to play. So thank you so much for coming by and talking about the game with us here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Okay, players everywhere can experience a whole lot of Hedgehog when Sonic X Shadow Generations comes to PC and consoles on October 25th. There's much more Gamescom coverage right around here on IGN, so stick around.
IGN store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop exciting, which means soft love likes there.
No movies ranks. Crazy.
Back in it.
In just a few days, gamers everywhere will be able to blast across the galaxy in Star Wars Outlaws, the brand new open world Star Wars game I've wanted basically my entire life. Brian wrote those words, but I agree with him.
I agree with him too. Here to tell us all about it is the creative director, Julian Garrity, and the star.
I don't think that way, but I also kind of do.
Hi. Welcome. It is so awesome to meet you. You and I have talked 100 times, but I could talk about Star Wars forever. Let's start with you. How did you develop Kay Vess's attitude, personality, all that fun stuff? Like, how did you sort of hone in on who she is as a Star Wars character?
Honestly, right from the get-go, from the first audition, even though they made us sign a million NDAs and I had no idea it was Star Wars, there was an attitude that I got from her that she uses her charm and her swagger to get where she wants to go and just take opportunities from whoever is available. So I always made sure that, you know, she was confident enough, fake it till you make it, even if she's very flawed. So I got a bit of that, you know. I made sure that I... He's like, she's always faking it till she makes it. But I think it naturally came to me. I love playing characters that are a little bit sassy and witty and, you know, kind of quick to clap back.
Right, right.
I just kind of used like that natural attitude that came to me, and obviously the character deepened once we knew that it was a scoundrel story, that I was in Star Wars, so the tone just adds to the relevance of the world.
I'm excited to try it.
Like that in Star Wars, so
yeah.
it fits right in.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to end up happening is Space Marine, then
So how do they? By the way, this is
Star Wars.
Star Wars. How does that come about?
This next week.
It was like 5 months from the initial audition, actually. And, you know, at first I thought it was some, like,
I paid for Space Marine. It's my first
Western.
pre-purchase
Maybe
in
there were,
years.
like, robots involved or something. But I felt like, you know, the characters were very, obviously, like, very grand. And there was this air about it. But not once did I ever
But I
think
also
was
paid
Star
for it,
Wars.
like, 6
And
months
they
ago
probably
or a
thought
year
that
ago.
They were being so obvious, but I didn't.
I mean, this was part of the process with Lucasfilm Games.
Right.
We have to mask those initial scripts. So we had some that were themed as westerns and some that were themed as pirate adventures.
Oh, interesting.
And
I
we
dig
sent
that,
those
though.
out, and you know, the whole thing.
It's one of the things I used to
completely
love when I
mastered. So we had
worked
to
with
write
the
different
people that
scripts
worked on
just
Star
to
Wars and
get
stuff over
the
at
casting,
in Orlando.
Off the ground.
Did you just come in one day and you're like, oh, by
Like
the
a lot of
way,
the secret stuff,
that's
the
a
way they were
blaster,
wording
and
stuff,
you
and I
have an
knew
alien
exactly what things
sidekick,
were.
And that's not a pirate ship; it's a spaceship that goes into space. Have
Yeah,
fun.
ADHD's
Welcome to
fun
Star
like
Wars.
that.
Pretty much.
We actually recorded the reactions of the performers who were told it's going to be Star Wars. The explosion of joy. I mean, the love of Star Wars is pretty universal. So, you know, there is a deep connection to that world, that universe, that galaxy in general.
So nobody was like, "Oh man, I really like pirates."
Damn it! I wanted to be a space pirate.
Did you have a favorite moment, mocapping, doing VO, all of that? I mean, I imagine once you knew what you were getting into, you were like, okay, this is a whole new world now.
Oh, unreal. I mean, being a lead protagonist in one of the biggest franchises. And I love mocap. I've been working with Ubisoft for a few years, so it felt like I'm like a veteran in it, but this is my first lead, so I really felt ready for that role. And honestly, one of the best moments.
I just hope I can change her hair because I want like a mohawk or something for her.
You have to make believe so much, relying on the team to describe what you're looking at. But they did go above and beyond building a
The rest of her is fine.
and the speeder out of like wood and pieces of metal and like neon tape. And
Like,
there
put
were
her hair
times
up
when
would
they
be
were like,
cool.
okay, so we're gonna fly into hyperspace. So they actually moved
Princess
it like a
Amidala
roller
hair.
coaster. And I was like sitting there like, okay, we're going. And if
Or
I'm
sorry,
ready, and I'm
Queen
going, and it was
Amidala
like
hair.
shaking, going up, and I had to hold my joy in. I think the first take it was like not good because I was like, like
joyful.
K-Vaz wouldn't do
I
that.
love that. I love that.
Let's try
so
it again.
much.
Less joy.
Yeah, they were like, make it cooler. She's cooler than
The build of the Trailblazer in wood was half of our production budget. That was it.
Thank you.
The set.
But we sold the story, you know. Now you gotta play the game, and you'll be like, the way she flew that Trailblazer. Though.
Right. I'm convinced.
And we're also joined by Nyx here today.
Of course. Yes, star of the
favorite
show.
character. What was the initial idea? You think?
All right, so they're bringing Deadeye into it.
How did Nyx come to be added?
I mean, working with Massive in Sweden, everything is through the
I
lens
feel
of
like it should
gameplay.
hover a little higher.
So
Like if you look at it, it's practically kissing the rocks and stuff. It's flying over.
Kay didn't have that little extra spice that we needed to give her beyond
Like just
her
like
powers of, you know,
6
the
inches higher
blaster
would be
and the speeder.
perfect.
So, you know, we started thinking about, okay, what
So like
can
right there it
outlaw
looks
you?
fine, but
This
when
is
you're
not a
out in the
Jedi.
middle of like
This
the
is a
offer,
scoundrel.
it's
This
weird.
is an outlaw. So how do we make that extra long arm that can distract a stormtrooper or attack an enemy or anything like that? You know, flick switches from a distance. So Nyx was born through that lens, and then the soft values came, and very quickly we came up with a species that we all fell in love with that became a huge,
I think Nyx seems
huge,
really cool.
source of inspiration
Like,
for the team
he's
as well.
adorable little guy.
Real team mascot as well. We all fell in love with him.
Yeah, look
but
at
it
him.
wasn't originally part of the pitch.
It's a little buddy.
Do either of you have a personal favorite scene in Star Wars? Like something
Yes.
that when you think about Star Wars, you go, that's my joint right there. Like for me, it's Jabba's palace, right? That whole first 20 minutes is my favorite.
yes.
Do you guys have that for yourselves?
The original cut or the remastered?
The
original. Of
course.
Nerd.
Yeah, the song's better in the original.
Yeah.
Geek test.
I think for me, it's trash compactor scene.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Star Wars: A New Hope.
My favorite is
It's
everything
such
with
a
Porkins.
concentration of
He was the best of us.
matinee action, great characters.
He didn't deserve to die like that.
Danger, fear. There's a little bit scary, a little bit dark, but it's humorous at the same time. That is like a perfect moment for me that encapsulates everything that I love about there.
And Luke is screaming. He's like, There's like a snake popping. Yeah, the Dianoga. I love it. I love it. Sorry, I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Yes. I can probably say the script and you'll finish it. I love you.
I know.
I know.
Wow.
I was waiting. He took so long.
But he pulls out his real blaster. That's the other cut of the version.
Okay.
George Lucas was constantly changing those. Ridiculous.
So we're very close to release now. What are you most excited about for people to experience with Star Wars Outlaws?
I'm excited to play it.
I mean,
you know what's wild is that even though I'm in it and I
Yeah,
said
you
all
don't
of the
really get to
words,
see anything, so.
11,364 lines.
Wow.
Yes.
60.
God dang.
Perfect. Well counted. Yeah.
Thank you. I get to see the world for the first time too because we're doing mocap, right? So we don't get to see the
So many
landscapes
lines.
and the creatures and the music and the, you know.
I feel like that's
for
like
me, it
8
was
hour,
all like,
4 to
okay,
8 hour
imagine
days,
this
depending on
and
what the
act
laws
it,
are
you
these
know?
days.
So I'm very excited to experience it alongside the audience.
I think the max
on,
was
like, all of the
6
side
when I
quests.
used to do
I'm
shit.
very excited for those. Those were really fun dialogues, really intriguing, like funny moments.
You're just
that
doing
if you
line
don't
after
wanna
line
follow
after
the main
line after
storyline,
line.
You get to go on these like really weird adventures sometimes, and Nyx is usually the one who's like looking at something. I'm like, what do you see, buddy? Is there something there? So make sure you pay attention to those moments.
Ooh, for sure.
Yeah.
Brian and I are both super excited to play. Thank you both so much for coming by the stage.
Thank you.
May the Force be with you all. Be sure to check out Star Wars Galaxy. No, Star Wars Outlaws. It launches on PC and consoles next week.
Wow, what year is this?
We got tons more games
Star Wars
right
Galaxies.
IGN, so
It's fucking 2003. Oh, he's so embarrassed. He's just like, I'm so sorry. Like his face just went boop, red as fuck. Oh, he's pretty.
What's up, everybody? Max
Yeah, look at
Noble
that
here.
shit.
I'm with Joel Bylaws from.
Oh, yeah, I was about to
We're
say,
here
what is that,
talk about
Dune?
Dune Awakening. I think we should address the shy halud in the room. We got life-size worms out here. So I've seen
been
a lot
excited
of
to see
buzz
where
around
this
this game.
goes.
It looks awesome. It's a Dune game, but there's also seems to be some sort of like confusion of like what type of game. It's a survival MMORPG. I've seen people be like, "Is it
Yeah, it
Conan
looks
Exiles
fun.
in space?" How do you pitch this?
Yeah, so it sort of starts off with this really strong survival angle. Like I consider it like a V shape. You start in the focused survival part of the V, and then you move up and it becomes more of political survival, social, MMO, working with other players, working with large guilds. The initial premise of the game was just, hey, how do we take a survival game and give it a good end game? And the conclusion to that in June was like political survival, big world, you know?
That is a complex answer. Dune
I
is
like.
like
I want to
such
play for the
complex
story.
lore to kind of put together. Where does this fall in the
You
canon?
know, so I'm really
so
excited.
we worked with the Herbert Estate and we sort of went with
looks
like
so
this
good.
alternate universe where Paul, instead of Paul being born, Jessica followed her orders from the Bene Gesserit, gave birth to a daughter, right? And then that shifts the landscape of everything. So we kind of did this for two reasons. One, it sets up the ability to have Harkonnen and Atreides on the planet fighting each other. It also means that people who've read the books and seen the movies have something to look forward to in our game because there's something slightly different about it, right?
Okay, so it's kind of like a what-if scenario. That's
Yeah.
cool. Now I gotta ask, the Bene Gesserit kind of psychic stuff. How are you approaching the more supernatural elements?
So, I mean, like, Spice has its own kind of special stuff going on, and I probably shouldn't spoil too much, but it's cool if you take enough Spice. Things will happen.
Okay, interesting.
And then the Bene Gesserit themselves, like the Mentats, all of these kind of special things from the universe, you can learn them as archetypes. You can meet trainers in the world who will teach you a little bit of the ability. Like, you can't really become a Bene Gesserit, but you can learn some of their abilities. You can learn to use the voice, and then you can use that, say, in combat to compel an enemy to come charging at you, right? Or you can use it to make people not see you. You can tell them, like, ignore me. Okay. They won't pay attention to you for a little while. So
They need the command
that's how
just
we built it into the
off
game.
yourself.
So you can't say too much, but what does Spice do in the game? Is it treated like
Whatever you
it's a
say,
resource,
ma'am.
Obviously, but I get
Yeah, it's kind of Spice is kind of at the heart
Just
of everything,
tops
right?
themselves
so
real quick.
First of all, when you come to Arrakis, your character isn't really that used to Spice.
Or yeah,
So
I
after a
know.
little
What was
while,
that
they
from?
start to have, you know,
Where they
a
were like
moment, right? Paul
irritated
has
that
one
you were
like that in the
giving
movie
them
as
that
well.
order.
The player starts to have a little moment, and that sets him on this journey through the world. And so Spice is
Can't
kind of
remember.
it's there as like
Either it was a movie
guide,
or a game
spiritual guide.
recently that
it
did
works
that.
as like something
Yeah,
that
yeah,
fuels
I
your
know.
growth, your abilities.
He like pulls out the
It
gun.
also works as like a currency for which you pay tax to the Emperor for building on Arrakis, right? And it also works to bribe people in the political
That
system.
looks
So
so
Spice
fun.
has a lot of uses.
There's a lot going on here.
Spice.
So aside from the water of life, what about actual water? So how does that come into play? Like, this is a sandbox game in maybe the worst way because you're gonna you die of thirst.
Yeah, so we built in like a bunch of mechanics for getting water. Starting off, you're kind of scrabbling to survive, so you're sucking moisture out of plants because you're not Fremen, you don't know how to live here in the desert, right? But then over time you learn to like pull the blood out of your enemies, extract it, take it to a machine, purify it, then you start taking water from there. Eventually you get like a Dew Reaper, which allows you to sort of walk around sucking the water off plants, like wilting them as you go. And then eventually, you know, move up to the high levels of harvesting. Corpses to put in your death seal
corpses
to give
and
you
all
lots
that,
of water.
yeah.
So you are kind of moving through the progression of water
That's
in the game.
pretty cool.
That is
I
gnarly.
like that.
Now I know there is some apprehension because like survival games have a lot of griefing and MMOs have a lot of grinding. What accommodations are you taking to sort of make this accessible for people who just want to play a Dune game?
Yeah, I mean, so we're trying to sort of tutorialize well, explain to people the world. There's a little single player section at the start of the game before you enter the main world. And in that single player section, we teach you the basic mechanics. We teach you a little bit about the lore. We give you a story. and then we put you into the world and sort of have
exactly
you
what I
survive.
would want. So
I mean,
I'm
I
pretty
don't think
okay
the
with
game
that.
is going to be for everybody. If you hate survival games, it's not going to be a game that you want to play, right? Like, so
I like
have to be clear
survival
about
games
that. I
if
don't
they're
like to
well
sell
done.
games to people who don't want to play them. So, but at the end
He's
of the
like, it
day,
ain't for everyone.
it's
Fuck
kind of-
you. You'll
there's
like
enough
it.
There. It's
You'll
forgiving
like
enough.
it.
You know, you learn the mechanics. You learn not to walk on the
That's
sand when the
great.
sandworm's around. You learn how to get water. You'll be fine.
Now let's talk about the walking. A wise man once said, walk without rhythm and you won't attract the worm. We see the guy in the gameplay trailer you just dropped is walking pretty purposefully and pretty rhythmically. Can you do the silly walk?
You
The
can't
silly
because
walk.
you're not Fremen and you haven't learned it. But it is something that you can learn later in the game, hopefully, right? Like, so
Oh, okay.
you get
Very
further into the
cool.
game, maybe you learn some skills about this, but not in the beginning, right? Because so some of our players in beta, they're like, oh, I'm walking like an idiot on the sand. I'm not using any rhythm. The sandworm still comes. And I'm like, you don't know how to sandwalk, man.
Okay, yeah, you gotta learn the ways. Now let's talk about the worms. How do you incorporate a giant, kilometer-wide worm into a game? That's a pretty massive even for an MMO.
Yeah, so the worms themselves, like, there's two sizes. We have the small worms, which are like this guy, and then we have the really big chungus that comes out, So the idea is that, like, yeah, when you're walking on the sand, you create vibrations every time you walk on the sand or drive or ride a vehicle or anything, right? The sandworm will always come. It's this huge AI that's moving around, so it's actually
so
there
it's
in the world all the
constantly
time.
there.
It's not
That's
something we
awesome.
spawn. It's not some scripted trick. It's following and listening, right? And it comes after players in the
It
world.
just hunts
And
anything.
then,
That's so
When you
cool.
get to the deep desert, the harvesting areas, that's where the really big worms show up.
Okay, so they're just out there. They're like constantly part of the environment.
Yeah, it's like a shark, right? You got to think about, you go into the water, you hear the Jaws music, you start walking on the sand, and you feel like, okay, there's tension. The sandworm is going to come, and it's just a matter of time.
Okay, that's terrifying. I want to talk about combat a little bit. There's a lot of gunplay we see in the trailer. Obviously, there's the close quarters combat and knife fighting. How are you striking a balance between ranged and melee?
Yeah, so June has a really interesting shield mechanic, right? And it's part of the lore that, like, shields basically rebuff all projectiles. So the way the game works is that we have this, enemies use shields, they use ranged. So it's kind of about getting in and out of combat very quickly, getting close to the people in melee, pulling back to use ranged on people who don't have shields. And then, of course, like, we have abilities which allow you to do this, to get in and out. I mentioned Compel, but there's things like the Shigawire Claw, which let you pull yourself into an enemy or force them to stumble. There's all sorts of stuff for moving around.
It kind
the
of reminds me
battlefield.
of Planet Side in a way
yeah, it's
too,
kind
which
of
I
this
really dig.
combined arms, we call it. This combination of melee, ranged, and abilities.
We also see some climbing. What are the traversal options here?
Yeah, so the climbing is freeform, right? Like, we're sort of in Conan Exiles, we had like freeform climbing. In June, we have a sort of more advanced version
love
of
the
that where
idea
you
of
can climb on
freeform
anything.
climbing.
But in addition, you can use abilities or suspensor belts. So once you
Make
get a
it
suspensor
better
belt, you can
and
kind of
faster.
just fly, right? You
Yeah.
see it in the movies as well. You just sort
So
of
it's
fly
kind of
around
like
in the world, as long as your
Death
power
Stranding
lasts.
in that way.
And then, yeah, obviously climbing is just freeform, attached to a surface, start climbing.
I
Awesome.
love that.
Early access.
I
what
can't
are the
stand when
plans
they
for
like
people getting
attach
their hands on
stamina
it?
to it,
Yeah,
so you
we're
run
doing
out
a
of stamina in like
persistent
6
beta right
seconds and
now.
you're
We'll be
climbing.
adding thousands and thousands of more
Like,
people
what kind
to
of
it
wuss?
as we progress towards the launch window, getting more people in to test the endgame systems and the large faction stuff. And then we're looking for an early, we're not saying early access, we're saying early 2025 launch window.
Cool. Well, I'm dying to check it out. Arrakis sounds brutal and unforgiving, and I want to get
I'm
eaten by
so
a worm.
down for that.
Get ready for the next ambitious video game, Dimensionals, a fast-paced RPG that delivers roguelike replayability with action-packed tactics. Collect
I don't know if I
heroes,
like the sound
level
of
them
that.
up, and build a party
Sounds like
of 3 to fight
microtransactions.
bosses throughout different dimensions. Equip your heroes with a diverse set of skills and watch as they come together to create a barrage of attacks and combos. Told in the style of voice-acted comic book cutscenes, experience the rush as you fight your way through dimensions to save the multiverse. Want a better idea of the game? Check out this trailer and dive into the world of Dimensionals, launching on all platforms in 2025 with early access this November on Steam.
So many games wait till like the end of the year to release, which is really friggin' annoying. Oh, this is that. the mobile game from yesterday looking thing.
Like RPG, put together incredible teams of unique heroes. Like Short, he's a bit of a dummy, but he loves blasting specters. Or the mysterious Shade Strike, the smooth-tongued gambler from the Shadow Dimension. Assemble your favorite heroes.
I like the way he looks, but that's about it.
World-crushing bosses are no joke. Take on the lifted style with the epic cartoon soundtrack by BigBeard. Experience wicked comic cutscenes in Dimensional's campaign mode, or blast your way through the open rift and face incredible and unpredictable challenges. Encounter a huge cast of characters like the Rogue Rifters, here to help you take down the bad guys. Or are they?
I just like they're just trying to make you feel like the 80s.
Dimensions will include fun, addiction to victory, temporary loss of reality, and spontaneous combustion due to awesome. Some assembly required batters not included.
Ooh, that's a cool looking bike. Okay, same stuff.
Limited parts, constant companions, and interact, and best of all, you reach the guides again with.
This fall, we're finally getting a brand new Batman Arkham game with Batman Arkham Shadow, the brand new VR game coming to MetaQuest 3. Here to break it down for us is Ryan Payton.
He looks less embarrassed now. He's back to normal.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Very exciting new Batman game, VR game. It's set between Arkham Origins and Asylum.
That's correct. Yes.
How did you land in this time period?
Well, start off, we're just huge fans.
I
of
just
the
saw
Batman
stuff
Arkham
on this like
franchise. It's been many years, since we've got a new
4
game
years
in the Arkham
ago.
franchise. So when we got the phone call from
It
Meta, they
looks
said,
so
"Hey,
good.
you just came off of Iron Man VR. We really love that game. What do you think?"
Yeah, there was
about jumping
Iron
into the
Man
world of
just before
Batman?" But
this.
not just Batman, but Batman Arkham. We were really intimidated. Well, I can tell you a little more about the backstory of how we signed the game. But at that time, we looked at the timeline and we thought, you know what? There's a lot that happens to Batman between Arkham Asylum, City, and Night. And then we thought, hey, after Origins, which is a great game and I think an underappreciated game, there's a lot of interesting areas from a story perspective where Batman's still relatively young in his career. He's kind of been punching his way through his problems, and that seems like a pretty good setup for a story where we wanted to kind of put Batman through the ringer a little bit.
Interesting. That's why we think the Rat King has sort of been
just straight
introduced as a villain here. But what's the sort of the premise of the story that we're going to experience here?
Sure. Yeah. So Batman's coming off the experience that took place in Arkham Origins, and like I said, he has a little more passion than he has compassion.
I love that they're doing
so he's
decent
entering
graphics
into,
too for it. It's
a
not just like
world of Gotham
480p,
City
but looks
that
like
is,
4K
being
when your
hit by all
eyeballs
these
are looking
riots
at it.
being, that's being taken place by a new enemy type called the Rats, and they're like these devout followers of our new villain in Batman Arkham Shadow called the Rat King. And with Batman and Jim Gordon and Harvey
It seems
Dent
like the
looking
game's
at Gotham
assisting you a
City
lot
on
though, which is
fire,
kind of lame.
4th of July, riots taking place, people following this new cult leader called the Rat King. That's the big setup for the game, and then we see how Batman's
Oh,
going to face this new
I
challenge.
remember that.
And then in terms of gameplay, are fans of the Arkham series
Love that it can blast holes in walls, but only
everything
knock
they love
out
from the combat
enemy.
traversal and gadgets and detective mode just in
What was that I heard about? Add spontaneous combustion. Oh yeah, I heard that too. It's for spontaneous combustion of awesomeness. I think they said.
Classic, amazing combat that's influenced so many other games in the industry since Arkham Asylum. I don't think it's possible to translate that properly into VR. And so I went over to the design pit. I said, hey, I just got a phone call whether or not we want to do Batman Arkham. And one of our design directors, Ryan Darcy, said, like, what's the problem? Of course we can do that. You see what we just pulled off with Iron Man VR? And I said, well, Ryan Darcy.
Oh, so they're bringing that back, that version of the Rat King. That's
walk
cool.
Up against an enemy and start just punching at him. Like, that's not going to feel like Arkham. He's like, Ryan, Batman doesn't walk across the room. He punches across the room, and that's how you initiate the combat in the game. And you lunge across the room, and then you've got your combat widgets. You're fighting guys. Then you have to do your counters, just like the other Arkham games, where you're kind of doing that spinning plate gameplay.
The idea of
That
VR
you're doing with multiple enemy types. You throw in the batarang, the smoke bombs, the different like gel launchers.
Arkham Asylum and
we've
stuff
been
like
able
that
to
does sound really
translate
good, though.
That classic Arkham combat directly into VR. And once we did that, through
But the
a
only bad
prototype,
thing about the
showed
combat in
it to
those
Warner
was it
Brothers
was
and
super
DC.
assisty.
They were sold, and
To the point of like
history.
you almost didn't have to try.
How
Just
much
press one
control do
button
you
to
have
win.
over Batman's, movement, or is everything, as you say, being directed by like who you're punching towards?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the best example I can give in terms of how the game flows is the other Arkham titles.
Okay.
You do have the same degree of freedom in terms of who you want to engage with. As you start, then you start initiating a combo with one of those
He
guys.
has really weird
Yes, we
tan
give
lines,
you
by the
different
way.
command
It's like he
prompts,
wears
but you can
gloves
interrupt
and a
those at any
mask
time,
whenever he goes
add a
outside.
gadget in there, you'll
Because
get
like his
interrupted,
wrist
so
up
you do
is
a-
all
a
tan,
counter, and then,
and then his
start
face is
engaging with another
pasty,
enemy, and it's that whole kind of, again, spinning plate
and his
gameplay
hands are pasty.
that adds a lot of
So weird.
variety in terms of like how players want to approach things, and then you get more Wayne Tech bonuses based on how much variety you add into the combat. And as long as you do it within the rhythm, you increase your special combo
Means
meter,
he's having
and then you
one of
can
those,
unleash
issues
some
with his
special combo
body.
moves onto your enemies,
And
just
that's
like
no
the other
fun.
Arkham games.
Are players going to get
That's
a
cool.
workout
Kind of
playing
Spidey
the game?
senses for
They're
you.
definitely getting a
Okay, that's
workout.
kind of
This has
interesting.
been a really thrilling experience for us to be here at Gamescom, having people play the game for the first time, and a really intimidating experience for a game developer. We've been working on the game for almost 4 years, and how are they going to respond? And so far, the response has been absolutely fantastic for
I
our
want to see more
behind
variation in the
closed doors,
combat though,
sessions.
but they keep
But
showing
one of
the
the jokes
same
that's been going around is
thing.
that Ryan, you got to start handing out more T-shirts after the game. 'Cause
sweaty and-
you do get pretty into it, and it's not a coincidence because games like Beat Saber and Super Hot VR were actually big core inspirations for us as well in terms of the rhythm of the game, the time dilation you're doing. So it can be a workout, but you can actually play the game seated as well for people that prefer that, or if that's the way that they need to play the game.
And overall,
That's cool.
how open or linear is the
I
game?
wish I could play
Yeah, you
VR,
know,
but I just
when we-
don't
when
have
we
the
pitched the
room.
game,
But maybe with
out of the gate, we said, look, this is our
Meta
first
Quest we
foray
have
into
for
the
the
Arkham
family,
franchise. We're not
might
like
be able to use
Rocksteady,
that.
where it took them a while to get to
It's like
Arkham
the
Knight,
Meta-
a big
Meta
open
Quest
world
2.
extravaganza, an incredible game. So we said, hey, look, for our first attempt at Arkham, we want to look at Arkham Asylum. We're actually almost exactly at the 15th anniversary of Arkham Asylum.
Oh
It came
my
out in
gosh.
August 2009, by the way. And we absolutely adore that game. It's one of the most perfectly paced video games, in my opinion. Great 12-hour campaign. That's what we're trying to get close to that with our game. And we have a similar type of structure. More of a Metroidvania type of structure where you've got a big open courtyard, different dungeons you can go and explore. You go get a gadget, kind of Zelda inspired. You get that new gadget, a gel launcher or the bat claw, and then you can use that to go to another
I meant
dungeon to
to
go
speak
unlock different
dragon.
puzzles or more collectibles. So very inspired by the structure and the flow and the campaign of Arkham Asylum.
You're saying all the right things. Get me very excited to play Batman Arkham Shadow. Thank you so much for coming by the IGN stage.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure, and the response from the IGN community for our 3 trailers so far has been overwhelming. So that tells us there's a lot of
Yeah, it's
big
been like
Arkham fans
4
out there,
years I've
and
been
we're gonna do everything
waiting
we
on
can
that.
to make sure that you guys absolutely love this game.
It's one of the reasons I
Sounds great.
now and
Batman
again
Arkham
look
Shadow
at
is available
like
for Meta Quest 3 this
VR, but
October.
they're still
We've got lots
expensive
more
as
Gamescom
balls.
coverage right
It's
here on
like
IGN, so don't go
500,
anywhere.
600 for like a headset. Doesn't even include anything else. It's just the headset. I'm just like, oh, okay. I don't need it that bad. Oh, so they're doing Darker Mobile again.
From the creators of PUBG Battlegrounds, Dark and Darker Mobile is a brand new mobile game from the developers over at Krafton. Pioneering a new genre called Extraction RPG, Dark and Darker Mobile incorporates dungeon crawler elements, a battle royale mode, and a medieval low fantasy RPG experience. If that sounds right up your
Oh,
alley,
and I have a
well,
surprise
then you're
after
in luck.
this.
Dark and Darker Mobile global registration is available now,
we're gonna
and
stop
it's playable
streaming and swap
not just on
something else
iOS
that I
and
have
Android
planned.
mobile devices, but also on PC
And it's not
via Google
Fallout
Play
London,
Games.
but I did
Check
get it
out a
working
sneak
last
preview
night.
of the game in this brand new teaser trailer. Enjoy.
Apparently they forgot a line in the code, which is why it wasn't working for like a week. Pretty good trailer for it being mobile though. I wonder if it's less janky on mobile though. They show a little bit of the combat in this, but not much. Oh no. Not the high roller. Oh, maybe I guess it's only if they actually talked about it like they did yesterday. They showed a tiny bit of the combat and it didn't look too terrible. Maybe this will be it. Yeah, okay. There we go. They're still not really showing anything though. definitely like I probably wouldn't play it anyways, like myself. But I wish it would show a little bit more combat. Yeah, and then you could play it on PC. It feels unfair to the poor mobile players. You're sitting there with your mouse and keyboard like it's normal Dark and Darker, and they're just struggling. Sitting there just nuking them with fireballs.
Easy to use and high-tech maps out there.
Yep. More ads.
You'd shop.
Oh, hey, I think they're finally done. Nope, they're still alive.
Hello again. You just got to look at Dark and Darker, and before that, Batman Arkham Shadow right here on Gamescom Studio, and there's still tons more cool stuff coming up.
I like how they're both wearing the same
Gamescom
shoes.
is about having fun, but it's also about making the world a better place. The Gamescom Cares platform is where Gamescom and Gamescom exhibitors and partners can present social responsibility projects. Whether that's environmental protection, aid for the needy, diversity, or education, Gamescom Cares supports and brings visibility to these great causes.
Games are for everyone, and so is Gamescom. In addition to being a safe haven for our diverse gaming community, Gamescom and its exhibitors are also committed to accessibility throughout the event. This year's Gamescom implemented regulations and allows greater access to the event for wheelchair users and people with mobility impairments.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Now let's take a look at what's coming up. In just a second, we are checking with our pals who just saw Monster Hunter Wilds out in the wild, and then after that, it is a double dose of post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Yeah, Adam Fall and Stalker.
Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl.
So excited.
And be sure to stick around for a very special Gamescom edition of GameScoop, where we'll be weighing in on which big 2024 releases have Game of the Year potential.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one.
Same.
But before that, let's take a look at what's shaping up to be one of 2025's biggest games. Here's Monster Hunter 1.
Just like cut her off.
Hello, Simon and Matt here from IGN, and we're here at Gamescom, and we've just played an hour of Monster Hunter Wilds. We should note we're going to have a full preview on site soon from one of our Monster Hunter experts at IGN, but we're just going to do a quick little reaction to what we played, because we have played a good chunk of Monster Hunter World in years gone by, but now we've got Monster Hunter Wilds. I keep mixing those two up, but I got it right there. And I think the safest thing to say about it is, if you liked Monster Hunter World, you're going to like Monster Hunter Wilds. Because from the chunk we played, I couldn't see too many huge differences, but there are two key differences, which I think you can run us through when you set up one of the missions we played, Matt.
Yeah, so we were tasked by kind of like the Monster Hunter Committee to head out and fight a Doshaguma, which is kind of like we saw it in the original trailer. It's a massive bear / ox / woolly mammoth kind of
Just a big
creature.
hairy boy.
Yeah,
big hairy boy.
A real big hairy boy with a crowd of monsters with him. And I guess that starts there's a little bit of changes to the ecosystem around these monsters. And we had to separate the alpha from his pack. That started with basically throwing dung at them.
Just throwing loads of poo at them. For some reason, I didn't know the science behind it, but throwing poo at monsters makes them not stick with the alpha. I don't know what that is, if they're poo phobes.
Apparently so. So we separated the alpha from the pack, which meant that we got to go into the classic style Monster Hunter. You're on a chase through a region. Obviously, Monster Hunter Wild has changed into an open world design.
I just realized who that guy looks like
quest,
and why he
didn't
kept
seem to
looking
make
familiar
a huge
to me.
amount of difference. But the chase is much
Looks
longer
like
than they were
Finster.
previously, because you now have a mount, which
That's
is this
Finster's
fella
older
here.
brother.
Not this man. This big dinosaur bird thing.
Now this is a secret, which is kind of like a bird, almost chocobo style thing from Final Fantasy, and you can ride this.
I swear they're
through the
just
chase
saying
against the
things.
monster.
Doesn't look anything
You can
like a
even attack
chocobo.
from mounted position, so you're even able to swing your switch axe or any weapon that you have.
Same thing with
against
them. They don't really
the
look like
monster as you're chasing
bears.
it. But then obviously it stops to have kind of like those almost arena style battles with the monster, in which in the first instance we were playing, triggered a weather storm, which is a little bit interesting.
Yeah, the weather storm.
Oh,
we
look at
got
little
is
raptor
a weather
friends.
storm. It's exactly what I said. There was lightning coming down. The sky just turned blue, and it looks like you can almost lure the monster
Kevin
into
Blue and
areas where
her
the lightning may
friends.
strike, and it did big damage. I mean, I was using the dual blade weapons, which are quick hitters, but they're doing like 3 or 4 HP a hit, whereas these big lightning strikes are in like 160 a pop, I think, which was, you know, pretty handy when you're trying to take down a big hairy boy. But I had a lot of fun using that weather. The weather systems, along with the mount, seem to be the big headline features we've experienced so far. Like you said, we haven't seen quite how open world the design is yet. It felt very much like one of the big open zones from World so far.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to see how that develops, but yeah, the weather was cool. There's also like almost, we're in a very sandy area and almost like slipped through into like, what do you call it? Big like sand hole? I don't know, like sand whirlpool.
hole?
Then had to get all the way back to the top where the Doshugama was. Doshaguma. I keep saying Doshugama. Doshaguma. Big hairy boy.
See, British always act like we don't know how to talk good, but look at
where the
them.
monsters will almost
Just
bump
making
into
shit
each
up.
other.
Yes.
We had a sequence where the monster that we were hunting, it's almost like the sandworms from Dune kind of appeared, and we had sort of like
Oh
an
yeah,
episode
those
of
little
what
dudes.
felt
They like
it was a
to drill
pre-scripted
their way
event,
into the
but
ground.
maybe
which
there
is
were
neat.
more organic elements to it. But where this monster wrapped itself around the monster that we were hunting, we kind of got to stand back for a little bit and watch this monster brawl. It was kind of like a Godzilla versus Kong style throwdown. And that, you know, is returning from Monster Hunter World, but it feels like maybe with the more open areas and the way that the different kind of biomes link together, we might be able to introduce creatures that wouldn't normally be seeing each other.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of touched on it. It felt very much like Monster Hunter World at this stage of play. We only played a small section of it, but
Shoot it in the
I'm
dick.
excited to play more. I like the kind of
Push
I
his
like, you know,
dick.
that typical Monster Hunter cycle of wearing down a big
Yeah, it's
animal,
more like
chasing it
a
across like a
lion.
vast
Oh, I
desert.
guess I could
To
see the
take down
bareness
the
now.
Doshaguma, I actually
Where they cut the
utilized the
tail
big,
off, I
large,
can't tell.
explosive barrels. Just put a couple of those in the way. It swiped.
Their
through his big
stupid
bear
stream's
claw,
so blurry.
exploded, and that dealt with it. Got the big Slade screen there, and yeah, I had a lovely time taking down a big.
Okay,
hairy
yeah,
boy.
yeah.
Did
Now
you
I
have
can
a
see
good
its
time playing
butt
him?
and
I
everything.
did have a
It's
good
little
time,
bit
yeah.
of a bear.
It's
Yeah.
definitely more. I wasn't sure if this would be the big evolutionary step again in the way that World was a huge evolutionary step for the series. This one maybe doesn't feel quite as significant, at least from what we've played so far. Maybe when we see more of this open world, we might see how that factors in.
I feel like the
But
desert's
what
just
we
like,
can
fuck
say is
these
from what we have
guys.
seen, this isn't open world, as in it hasn't suddenly turned into Horizon, and that just happens to have Monster Hunter fights in it. It definitely feels like they stitched all of the sequences from World together, all of those zones, and that is probably what it's like. And if that's the next kind of like proto-evolutionary step for
Yeah, it looks
kind of
like a
Monster
bear and a
Hunter
lion combined.
before we get to
You know,
whatever
a little
comes
bit
next, I'm kind
scaliness.
of fine with that. Like, Monster Hunter is good, and having more of that with just that weather and the mounts and those few other sprinklings, I'm kind of fine with that.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. It's more Monster Hunter. That's kind of what I wanted. Taking down big beasts. I like taking down big beasts. Dragon's Dogma 2.
They sound like they're greedy.
Got a
They're
bit
just
of
like,
that to it.
you know, we
Capcom,
could have
at the
used a
moment,
little
maybe
more,
the
but I
king
guess I'll
of
take
taking
this
down giant
smidgen.
beasts.
Maybe.
We'll find out when Monster Hunter World arrives in 2025. But for now, I'm looking forward to it.
You're watching Gamescom Studio right here on IGN. Atomfall is the upcoming survival action game set in northern England several years after a nuclear disaster. Here to tell me how it all comes together is Ben Fisher, Associate Head of Design at Rebellion. Welcome.
How you doing?
Let's talk about some Atomfall. I believe this was revealed earlier in the summer.
So
and now you've got a new
excited.
gameplay trailer out here for Gamescom. This is a first-person action RPG. Tell us about this game.
It looks
Okay,
so
so
good.
Like you say, it's a survival action game set in a 1950s north of England in a post-apocalyptic quarantine
In the north.
zone around the world's first major nuclear disaster in the Windscale plant. So it's an alternate history where we've taken a real-world event as an inspiration and then built a new world around that in the style of 1950s storytelling, 1950s speculative fiction. If you think of something like classic Doctor Who or the Quatermass Experiment, very early TV sci-fi, we've used those as reference points and inspiration and then built a game world that really we started with the game world itself and then the mechanics of the game kind of emerged from the setting.
Interesting. So post-apocalyptic, but we still see people, you know, living together in a society.
Post-apocalyptic.
It's not like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome yet.
I can't tell how tired they are, but it sounds like these people are tired. They're constantly slurring their words and stuff.
British post-war. You know, if you take the setting seriously and you think, how would people actually try and live in this situation? It would still be lush and green, but it's a green and unpleasant land. So people are trapped inside this quarantine zone and trying to get by, trying to survive. As we know from COVID times, people try and just live the best life they can in the situation they find themselves. So it's a real kind of keep calm and carry
The
on
COVID times.
mindset. But at the same time, the disaster that's trapped the people in this location is having a sort of an interesting influence on them. So everyone's their way of looking at
Should
the
be able
world
to
is
oil
kind of
your gun and stuff.
exaggerating and changing a little bit. So they're grouping into these factions to try and survive. As you explore the game, you don't fit into any one of these factions, and you have to decide which ones you trust, which ones you think you should align yourself with. Some of them will tell you that they have a way of getting out of the quarantine zone if you help them uncover the mysteries in the Windscale plant, and it's entirely up to you who you trust or don't trust.
Who are we? Who are we playing at? What's our character?
That's part of the mystery.
Yeah?
So at the very, very start of the game, you wake up in a quarantine bunker with no idea of who you are. And when you look at the player's body, you've got gloves on, you've got
Shoot him.
hiking gear.
Kill him.
There's no signifiers of age, race,
Kill
or
him.
gender. One of the
Death
reasons
penalty
is that
for looking
players can
stupid.
check themselves into the game. One of the reasons
look at
is
him,
we
his
want that to be
stupid
part of the
ass.
mystery.
Kill him.
In the sort of classic
Stop
storytelling
missing.
style, you set up a lot of missions.
You only have
so
so many
missions
bullets,
fully
dude.
resolve
There you go.
all
One
of
good one to the gut.
So at the same time,
Nice.
when you start playing the game,
Yeah, burn his
there's
ass.
a red phone box, and as you
Hell
walk past,
yeah.
it starts to ring, and you hear
Hell
a voice
yeah.
talk to you. That's another one of the kind of mysteries in the game
Love
that
it.
we might not fully explain for you, but there are clues in the game to let you come to your own conclusion.
And then moment-to-moment gameplay. We've seen some combat here. Are you also taking on missions, quests for individuals?
Well, this is one of the most interesting parts of Atomfall, is we wanted to give you a way of deciding who you were in the game world. And we found early in development that if we gave you a specific backstory, that told you who you were and it told you who your relationship was to other people. That's part of the reason that you're a mystery character. And during development, a new mechanic emerged. We don't have quests, we've got leads.
Okay.
And as you explore the game world, you might find leads by talking to people. You might find them buried in a metal detector
at
box that somebody's
Pat's
hidden under the ground.
lunch.
And you choose which leads to follow, and you choose what leads to piece together. And as you explore, you find that most of the leads interconnect into this larger mystery. So no matter where you start, and no matter what story you get involved with, it all pieces together into one giant story. So there's
cool.
no good
I dig
guys
that.
and bad guys. There's no specific quests. There's just leads as you try and uncover what's happened.
Interesting. And then in terms of combat, are we just a regular human, or are there any sort of extra, abilities that you unlock through a skill tree or something like that?
Sure. What we wanted to do is give you the sense of desperately trying to survive in this brutal landscape. So we blend melee and ranged combat for the duration of the game. So you'll be firing guns, sure, but the ammo is scarce, and the guns are in bad condition because they've been in the rain for 5 years. And so we wanted it to feel more like a pub brawl than a war zone.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time you'll be kicking enemies to knock them back, or throwing fire axe at them that'll stick in them if you've got the right skill, and mixing in a couple of bullets at the same time. And we've got options to avoid combat entirely. So if you've got a gun and they don't, you can point it at them and they'll back off. Or you get a lot of notice before they actually get into a fight. There's a threat system in the game where, depending on how close you are, depending on how threatening your behavior is, whether you've got a gun out,
How much of a badass you are.
you'll escalate to combat quicker, or you may be able to avoid it entirely. One of the things we've done in the game is we've made sure that you could kill everyone.
Oh my god.
Or you could kill no
Just
one.
massacre the
and still
entire
find a way
island.
to the end of the game.
Rebellion's well known for the Sniper Elite series. Is there any Sniper Elite DNA in Atomfall?
Absolutely. So that's interesting as
Are
well.
we
because
getting to
there are
shoot Hitler in the
definitely
balls?
Elements of Sniper Elite in there, and there were times where we had to resist that DNA. So the elements that are there is that Rebellion values giving the player an objective and then sandbox freedom on how to achieve it. As you explore, you find different methods to achieve that objective. And once you've achieved it, you find an exfil point. You find a way of escaping a location. And each mission in Sniper Elite is that structure. For Atomfall, we decided to attempt an experiment. What happens if you apply that template to an entire game? So that's where Sniper Elite became an influence. That sense of structured freedom. Where we had to resist that was when we were placing enemies, it became very easy to accidentally make kind of stealth combat puzzles, because in Sniper Elite that's the encounter, right? Each encounter is like a puzzle, but we wanted it to feel a bit more unpredictable and a bit more desperate. So enemy positioning is slightly randomized, slightly procedural. changes over the course of the game, and you travel back and forth through multiple densely packed sandboxes, so your play experience will change over time as well.
Okay.
Can you briefly address, I think there are survival and crafting elements, is that right?
Yes, there are, yeah. So,
some
like
nice
I say, we want to
potats.
make sure that the player always feels that they're desperately attempting to survive. So they're scavenging for materials, and they can craft things to help them heal, help them resist different kinds of damage, and like throwable grenades, Molotovs, those sorts of things. And their backpack is quite limited as well, and the resources are scarce. So the game is balanced so that you have to use all of those resources to try and survive.
Very cool. So Atomfall's coming next March, I believe, 2025, to a lot of consoles, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, PC, and it's coming to Game Pass.
Yes, Game Pass Day One,
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming by the IGN stage.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, we have lots more Gamescom ahead right here on IGN, so stick around.
Hi, my name is Sasha McKinnon. I'm the CEO and founder of Mino Games and the creator of Dimensionals. So Mino Games has been around for about 12 years. We've always, at our core, created these collectible character games. Our first game was Mino Monsters, which was very nostalgic of Pokemon. And now we're creating our first Steam and console game called Dimensionals. Dimensionals is a story-based roguelike RPG with dozens of heroes that you can collect and play as. So
this
Koa's
that
the protagonist,
one from earlier.
kid from Earth who gets beamed up into the rift and meets his grandfather, Gramps. And it turns out that Gramps has actually been the leader of the Dimensionals this entire time. And Koa is a newly united Dimensional, so he's got to learn the ropes really fast while everything's under attack. We also have Boop, and Boop is Koa's pet robot who Gramps made. Boop is also a Dimensional, and Boop and Koa are inseparable. Boop's like a really cute kind of puppy dog-like character. And we also have Mag Mama. She's the commander of the Dimensionals, and when Gramps is taken away in his epic fight with Ragnaroth in the comic, Mag Mama's the
Ragnaroth.
one who's left in control. So Mag Mama really has to step up and become the leader of the Dimensionals. She's telling the Dimensionals where to go, what dimensions need saving, how to beat certain bosses. So she's pivotal as a commander in the game. You know, it's kind of like a weird mix between Pokemon and Marvel Snap and Slay the Spire, which obviously appeals to people who are very strategic and tactical. However, we've wrapped it up in a way where it's just very accessible. It's really a novel way to tell story in a roguelike. It's deeply inspired by Saturday morning cartoons and comics. The whole thing feels like a comic book. It's voice acted. We have animated comic book cutscene that actually plays not just in the prologue of the game, but throughout the entire story campaign. So whereas most games, especially in this genre, are niche, we've really tried to do our best to make this broad, accessible, and something that everyone can really love. So behind me you can see just a portion of our very, very large cast of characters. We have both the dimensional heroes, and we have some of the
First
road
the large
drifters,
woman.
we have some of the bosses.
Then the
so
medium
the heroes
woman.
themselves
Then
each
the large
come
woman
from
again.
a different dimension. So let's take Shork, for example. Everyone loves Shork. He's like a big goofball cat shark, and he's kind of cute and dumb, but somehow wise. So he's from Atlantis, which is the water dimension. And then next to him, we have Fungas, who's kind of like a snobby little brat, and he's from Territory, which is the Earth dimension. And we have the Star dimension characters, Air dimension, the Fire dimension. So we'll be continuing to add more and more of these heroes into the game as we go. All of these are extremely unique in how they play. And what you do in the game is you take 3 of your favorites. So for example, maybe you want to take Tweenkill and Turbo Shell and Mag Mama, and each of them will have their own unique skills that you find during the roguelike. Now this means you can create insane combos, because the Fire dimension is mostly focused on rage, whereas the Speed dimension is focused on refresh and doing like a lot of small damage. So the selection of your heroes is actually really, really important to the gameplay. Plus, it's just really, really
Alright,
cool
look.
to have all these characters and unlock
It's just
them.
Raid Shadow Legends
So here
with
we are
extra steps.
at the Dimensionals booth. You can see we have our happy hour going on. There's a bunch of people chilling. People
Everyone
playing
getting
the
free
game.
ponchos?
We're giving away free Happy Meals. And a big part of the reason we're doing this is because we're moving Dimensionals towards a full multimedia experience. We have already a comic. We have the TV pilot that aired on IGN. And we're moving into merch, and we're giving away a bunch of merch at the booth. We have soundtrack that is composed by Brad Breek. This guy did the Gravity Falls TV show. We've really, really lent into this multimedia experience. I'm actually want to showcase a bit of the animated comic cutscene, which you can see behind us. And this isn't just some standalone video. This is actually deeply integrated into the story of the game. So that was the Dimensionals booth tour. I hope you guys had a lot of fun seeing some of the games, seeing the characters, getting to experience the comic and some of the TV that we have going on. And Mino Games is an indie game studio. We're self-published. So if you love the game or you love the characters or anything you've seen here, wishlisting would help us immensely. You can also join our Discord. And
Alright, what does wishlisting
come
actually
by.
do?
And now we've got something really special for you. It's our 90s style TV commercial. I hope you enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And I hope you have as much fun playing and watching Dimensionals as we did making it.
When the Rift is in trouble, the only ones you can rely on are... Dimensionals is the hottest new roguelike RPG. Put together incredible teams of unique heroes. Like Short, he's a bit of a dummy, but he loves blasting specters. Or the mysterious Shade Strike, the smooth-tongued gambler from the Shadow Dimension. Assemble your favorite heroes. Strategize to make insane combos. But watch out, because Ragnarok's world-crushing bosses are no joke. Take on the Rift in style with the epic cartoon soundtrack by Brad Breek. Experience wicked comic cutscenes in Dimensional's campaign mode, or blast your way through the open rift and face incredible and unpredictable challenges. Encounter a huge cast of characters like the Rogue Rifters, here to help you take down the bad guys. Or are they?
I thought they said the Rogue Grifters.
Side effects of Dimensionals will include fun, addiction, victory, temporary loss of reality, and spontaneous combustion due to awesome. Some similar required batters not included.
Yeah, the spontaneous combustion due to awesomeness. I want to do more cosplay. Like, I want to do higher quality cosplay
The average
too.
Cinefix movie list features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall deep dive analysis. To simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films, and before you say it, no, that math does not check out. We're not math people, we're movie.
Remember today. Can't find that final collector sucker so easy adding on 30% complete forgot.
Welcome back to Gamescom 2024, where we're here covering all the games on the show floor, but there's been one really special open world survival FPS game that I've personally been really looking forward to, Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl.
Joining us today to tell us all the details we could possibly want to know are game director Yevgen and technical producer Eugene. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
So I'm going to start off because you did share an exclusive trailer with us today. Can you go over some of the details that you revealed with this new trailer?
I can't add the details not to spoil the story part, because it's a very important character in the game, and it happened to be one of the main characters in the first Stalker game, so the fans of the game would understand
recognize
him, right? But I don't want to add anything more, because it's important to stay as it is.
Just from my perspective, I would like to add that this character is one of my favorites.
In the trailer, we hear about the shining side, like the shining zone, and there's some really beautiful imagery that comes up in just a second. It feels like you're trying to show something a little different, a little more about the world.
It's the idea that the zone, it's both a horrible and terrible place where a lot happening, like people dies, and it's very risky to go there, but there is also a side that is also bring miracles and bring important things into your life, into these characters. So for many, it's a only place they want to stay and spend time.
Yeah.
So it's very important for them, and so it's about the zone is very different from different points of view. And for this character, the zone is different from the others.
Right, like just a second ago, we saw a meadow. That looked beautiful.
Yeah, it's the weird juxtaposition. But Eugene, I'm actually curious. So we did see that you did delay the game to November 20th. So what are you using that time for?
Yeah, so for now we're focusing mostly on optimizing the game and fixing the bugs. So we need to provide the most beautiful, the most stable, and the most amazing gaming experience that we ever made. So we are kind of focusing on that, and this is our main goal for now.
That's a lot of pressure, but I'm
Yeah,
glad
yeah.
you're taking your time with it. We're all patiently waiting. It's okay.
How confident are you about the
I've always
new
wanted to
release
blow
dates,
up one
the
of
November
those
release dates?
giant
We actually pretty confident. So
metal
you may
radar
try
arrays.
our game on the
So
Xbox Series console during the
It'll be
Gamescom.
big and
So
sparky,
please
I imagine.
come and join us and experience the zone the way you like.
All right. So, talking about the stories, I do believe that you told us that there are going to be 4 different endings, right?
3.
3. Okay. Do you have a hint as to which one, if there was one canon ending, or if it's just all?
We can't highlight the canon ending because, yeah, it's also important for players to reveal. Sorry for being so secret. For me, as a game director, it's very important so the players.
Oh, he is the game director. I thought he was just art
start playing the
director or
game. They
something.
would get the experience. They are not get spoiled with some additional information. They get all these secrets uncovered, discovered by their own. And the end of the story is one of the biggest secrets, and we don't want to give it now. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll have like a lot of consequences of the player actions and the player decisions. So each player should experience the zone with his own decisions and with his own actions.
Okay.
So it will be like mostly unique.
If there
for
would be
everyone.
any co-op.
So
in
for
it,
you
'cause that'd
personally,
be
in your
fun.
mind, there's not one.
I know they
true
were talking
ending?
about multiplayer.
I guess everyone should
Like
find
PvP.
their true ending.
Okay. That's really sweet.
Outside
I
of the
love that as the
campaign.
tagline, even though it's a very kind of scary game. But so speaking of the main story, obviously there's a ton of content that you've been touting with this new. You said the storyline will only take about 40 hours, I believe.
Oh,
So
that's pretty
overall,
short.
to finish the game, for some players like me, it will take 1 hour, 100.5 of hours. But for many players, it will take much less time. But it's very different depending for the players, because you can take any big open world game and compare it to your friends. How much time do they spend? It would be so much varying. And we also expect to have a big replayability, because the story you get from the one walkthrough isn't in full. It's like 60% of the story, so you need at least 2 walkthrough to get 90% of the story, and you need 3 walkthrough to finish the story to get all this information. So it's really huge, and we are hoping the players would enjoy it and share their own story with each other. We have a lot of mechanics that are aiming for providing different experience for different players, so they could share their own little stories, which will be different.
This is a game with a lot of history, like a big fandom, but also with Stalker having come out some time ago, there's going to be a lot of brand new players. How difficult is it, like balancing the game for those new players and then the experienced fans who know everything about Stalker?
Thank you for this question. And each player should choose the game difficulty. So, for example, if you're not that experienced player with, especially with single-player shooter games, so you can just choose. We call it internally like story mode difficulty. It will be kind of challenging, but still, it provides you the focus on exactly on the storyline. So it will be challenging some way or another, but still. You may just enjoy the story, and there's a lot of amazing cutscenes and a lot of dialogues and a lot of characters. So
we know a lot of players who are loving our game for its atmosphere of abandoned place, and they will be interested in story, but they are not experienced players. They don't willing to die a lot, and this story mode will bring these players the experience they would love. And we are thinking that it's very important difficulty for bringing the game to totally different audience from the hardcore shooter players.
Sure, 100%. Yeah, Yevgen, I think we do have, I was looking at the blog posts that were posted, and you did state that one of the core drivers of the player's progression and power is through exploration, and you want to reward players for their curiosity. What would you say really drove that in this game? Like, what is the best example of that?
I guess it happens everywhere, so you just go to big location, you have a lot of options where to go, so there is no like one point that are magneting you to it, and you discover in the new places, and just looking nearby you can find some unique gear which is very powerful for this moment of your exploration, and you could easily miss this point and didn't get it here, or maybe find it much more in front of the game line. So it's a lot of examples for the player. They should just go for their interests where they find something interesting for them, and it could be rewardful or not.
Yep, so risk reward.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for giving us so much freedom with a game like this. I get way too distracted by side quests and open world things, so I cannot wait to get lost in this world. Now, Stalker 2 is coming out this November 20th. For all of the up-to-date news on Stalker 2, be sure to check out IGN.com for all of the latest.
But for now, we've got a lot more Gamescom coming your way, so don't go anywhere.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways.
Looks exciting though.
We've even capped off playing today.
Up everybody. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special Gamescom edition of GameScoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. I'm joined here in Cologne, Germany, by Sam Claiborne.
We're actually here. It's
Rachel
so exciting.
Weber.
Hi.
And Justin Davis.
Group.
And what a show we have for you this week. Great show. We're here on the show floor and at the Cologne Messe right here in Cologne. Yeah, wave to the people.
Hey,
Blow
they're
them
waving.
Kisses.
Aw.
And what do we have here? We're right in front of THQ Nordic, which has got Epic Mickey Rebrush and Reanimal and a couple other titles back there. Sega is right over here behind us. Right next to us is Crafton and the Sims killer. What is called
Inzoi?
Inzoi, something like that. It's like
Sonic the Hedgehog's right there. He's really big.
Get out of
bunch
here,
of rings.
Sonic. You know how we feel. Sonic is not welcome on my show.
I never said that, and Rachel never said that.
No, I said that, and Justin said that. And then the whole back is all Xbox, but the gigantic Xbox booth back there.
Yeah. It's a big booth.
It's
a big convention.
It's a really big convention.
It's got bigger. Last time I was here was 10 years ago, and this is
well, yeah.
huge.
This is just one hall of 10.
Yeah.
There are 10 halls.
And so there was always 2 halls at E3, and this is 5 times as big as E3.
Well, but sometimes there was the cursed Kensha Hall, which was
That's
always
right.
my favorite place.
The parking garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, this seems like it's about 10 times as big as E3. I don't think people. We could talk about it later, but
We
I
can
don't
talk
think
about it
people.
now.
Okay. Well, I don't think people understand what the scale of this is if they haven't been here. This is my first Gamescom, and it's truly cool to be back at a convention where there's a bunch of big things built.
Yep.
There's games to play, and there's people everywhere. I don't know. I haven't been to an E3-like thing since pre-COVID, and it's just remarkable.
I completely agree. I walked by a castle earlier.
Yeah.
Not like but like a constructed one inside.
And there's real castles outside.
There are
too.
actual castles outside. No, I loved E3 and E3. Flipping through game magazines and reading their E3
It's in
issues
Germany
is
this
why
year,
I
right?
got into the video game
That's
industry.
right, the E3 issue.
It was formative for me, and I was very sad when it was gone. And Gamescom, Sam, this is my first Gamescom as well, and I didn't quite know what to expect. It's more public-facing, a little bit less industry than E3 was, and I think the vibe here is very positive. It's very great. great energy. I'll tell you one thing I love is I love seeing all the families around.
I know, there's
It's got
so many
kind of a
kids in
festival
cosplay.
feeling to it. It's great.
Is it your first too?
No, but it was 10 years ago, my last one. So it was much more kind of very European-centric.
Oh,
and-
What was like the big game? Like,
I was
what
trying
was
to
the...
say, so if it was 2014, it would have been Dragon Age Inquisition.
Is that right?
But I don't think they had a
He should
huge
play
presence.
Video Game 20
yeah.
Questions.
I have done that.
Just drawing that out of his mind like that. Yeah, maybe. But Dragon Age was I guess, somewhat
They
European.
still, you know, the things like E3 was still going on, so they would spend all their money there. So Gamescom was kind of a smaller budget thing.
Okay, did you guys see the freaking tractor?
At
the farming simulator?
Yeah. At Farming Simulator, they have like some kind of award-winning machine. And it's on a triangle-shaped tire tread, like a tank, and it looks like it could roll over any building ever built. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And they don't even have guards around it. You can just crawl up the ladder and get inside if
They've
you want.
just shipped
Drive it
in
off.
farming
drive it off.
Do you think they tugged it in here somehow on like a bunch of reins like King Kong? Or do you think they actually drove it?
Or helicoptered it down.
The most difficult way.
There's
But
also
no.
just a California Highway Patrol car here.
Yeah,
for some
yeah. I felt like at home. It was just exactly the cops that pulled me over in my backyard, just right here, a CHP patrol car.
Some people just have budget to spend. There's an Overwatch Porsche. I don't know what the connection is there.
And wasn't it like a transformer or something?
Yeah.
It's somehow a robot and a Porsche. But that's the thing, the builds look
Porsche
like
in disguise.
Disneyland type stuff,
Yeah.
right? There's a big temple for Indiana Jones. There's probably something cool in the Assassin's
They
Creed
made a whole
booth. They won't let me
cantina
in
for
there.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Is that what's there?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has got like a whole Ren fair.
That one's
There's
amazing.
people
That's the
like
castle.
sword fighting castles.
And,
yeah.
and World of Warcraft has a castle too with rideable
A 4D
VR
ride,
machines.
yeah.
What?
Yeah, a 4D
Yeah.
mount that you.
Yeah. We
There's
should
some great
do it, but
footage
not
of,
before EA
I'm being
or after
told
EA.
IGN made a whole package
Yeah.
about this 4D ride
Jane Douglas wrote
that
it for us.
viewers and listeners can go watch on youtube.com/IGN.
So I I mean, we'll see. We're busy.
Well,
here
we
at the
watched
show,
it
so I'd love to
yesterday.
get a
It
chance
was
to
neat.
walk around, but there's like a retro game hall that I
Yeah.
haven't even been to yet.
We
Which
went
is
to it. Imagine what types of retro games there are. They're
Oh.
all PCs.
Is this gonna make me sad?
No, they're amazing.
Okay,
They're like all crazy PCs.
They're all
with
speckies.
CRT monitors. Look at all
Good.
speckies.
No.
A lot of Atari S somethings.
But I think Gamescom does a good job of like gaming's for everyone,
Yeah.
whether you're into old games or indie games, big AAA games. Like that's the vibe that I get, and that's a big thing that I've enjoyed. Having only admired Gamescom from afar, being in here and in it, it feels good. Very positive.
And there's a machine for coffee and a machine for cigarettes.
Yeah,
There is,
great.
which
Germany.
one of those in a long
I was gonna
time.
say it's
Yeah.
definitely how you knew you're in Germany.
You can get a beer pretty much anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Can we get?
Yep, right. Actually, let's work on that. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention at the top of the show. This is a play in 3
Yeah, I was gonna
acts
say, were you guys supposed to be
this
talking
week.
about
We've got
something?
Our A block here, which we're going to be talking about highlights of the show. Then we'll take a quick break, come back and do a catch in with Game of the Year watch, and then our final segment will be looking ahead. Now that this is sort of like the final big event of the year. We pretty much know what all the big games are coming out for the rest of the year now, so we're going to sort of make our list. What we want, play or nay? I think that's what we'll call it. Play or nay.
That's
It's definitely good. I
That's
think
so
is what-
good.
to
Yeah.
finish your sentence for you.
Well, maybe for Germany it'd be Plein or 9.
Plein or 9. Sam, you mentioned Indiana Jones. I think that counts as a highlight. As we predicted on Next Gen Console Watch, we did finally get a release date for that one. Oh, I'm sorry. We got released dates.
Ooh,
We did.
For Indiana
We got
Jones.
a
What does that
surprise
mean,
release.
Damon?
Well, Justin, it's coming to Xbox Series X and S and PC on December 9th this year. Then are you sitting down, Justin?
I don't know.
It's coming to PlayStation 5 in spring 2025.
What PlayStation 5? But it's an Xbox game.
I, for one, am shocked.
Shocked.
I like it.
Well, not that shocked.
I was shocked. I was shocked they said it right after announcing a bunch of Indiana Jones news. And I was shocked that it was not announced after maybe it came out on Xbox. Like normally when things get ported. I was pretty surprised.
This is, there have been rumors about this coming, but yeah, I agree with Sam. I thought maybe,
Well, I guess I missed those rumors then, so maybe I'm a little out of it.
well, I thought let it come to
Rachel's
Xbox,
in
let
tune.
it have its moment on Xbox,
Exactly,
right?
yeah,
and
yeah.
then somewhere down the line announce it's coming to PS5.
But no, just wait a little
It's
bit.
money. It's money.
Well, yes, of course.
Mhm.
I don't know.
No,
is it-
there's good reasoning behind it, that's for sure.
Yeah, you
But
can always have a
usually there's
360
not good
cam in the middle of that thing so it can actually look at your rip. Oh, I didn't mean to press that.
A game world that
Okay.
really, we started with the game.
11 Robots on Netflix. It's going to be an animated anthology.
Taking the how to do like trick when you
Let it have its moment
There we
on
go.
Xbox.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And then
Damn, I'm
Online
good.
announced it's coming to PS5,
but no.
Guesstimating.
It's money. It's money.
Well, yes, of course.
Yeah, when I sat down my phone, I hit the 0 button.
That's for sure. But usually there's not good reasoning behind things, so you know. But yeah, I got to see it.
You saw the game
on
so
a
you
big
got to see the
on a big
stage,
screen.
the sort of like theater
you went
presentation.
through the.
I did. I got a fedora at the end of it.
Ooh.
How am I going to get that home? I don't know.
Wear
But,
it.
Wear it.
Wear it home.
Can you imagine?
Yes, I can.
You'd be the
I love it.
coolest man on
But
the
where
plane.
where would I
Is
get
it here?
a matching bomber jacket?
Is it here right now? Can you get it in during our break? Can you get it and put it on?
Yeah, Corrado can go grab my hat.
Your assistant.
Right now.
Corrado is Sam's personal assistant.
His
Corrado,
hat
can you
butler.
get my Indiana
Followers.
Jones hat from
Him
the
everywhere.
table?
No.
And I will not be wearing it.
Tell us your impressions of gameplay of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, that's the problem is that they keep on showing these, like, short segments of Indiana Jones, like, all chopped up. And then you're like, whoa, you can do this. You can do this, too. You can do this. So it's really hard for me to tell what do you do when you sit down and you're playing, for your 2 hours in the evening. Because they were showing, like, temple solving. We know that's in there, right? They were showing, like, kind of a big panorama of Egypt, which looked amazing. And then they would show, like, and here's Indiana Jones going shopping. He's like, so what do you have for sale? Which is the weirdest thing to see, the impression of Harrison Ford doing that.
Oh, yes.
I mean, if ever a
That's
man
a
was
really
made to wear a
nice looking
fedora.
hat.
Iconic.
Alright, until he put it on.
Good night, huh? Yeah, they gave out these paper fedoras to everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it
that
does not
watched
fit him.
Indiana Jones. But I got another thing here. I didn't just see Indiana Jones because they got me in that theater and they tricked me by showing me Starfield.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
that happened.
God damn it! They've got
Yeah.
to show it to
Shattered
people
Space?
somehow.
It didn't look bad.
DLC?
Yeah.
Oh,
was pretty good, actually.
just
It was
hating
actually
on
like
it.
a different planet, and a different faction compared to all the samey stuff that we've seen already. So be it.
I mean, I think like Starfield.
You gotta love
wasn't my
devs,
favorite
like, dunking
game, but
on
I
each
think
other.
The premise of the Shattered Space DLC and answering some of the open questions from the base game with oh gosh, now I'm forgetting the name of the faction, but the serpent people that are in Starfield, like
It's like Way of the Serpent or
yeah,
something
the
like
DLC supposedly like really focuses on that
Oh, I
storyline.
love
And to
that
me,
bit.
that was like the most
Yeah.
interesting part of the game. So maybe it'll be enough to pull me back in. I thought like what they showed here at Gamescom looked cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of serpents, Indiana Jones does not like snakes.
No, he doesn't.
I've never heard
oh
that.
my gosh, that was another thing. So they were doing like a lot of the scenes they were showing were reflecting movie scenes, like a little, like they got to do that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But there's like a whole like taking the the
Oh,
idol off a
This
thing,
Indiana
but it's
Jones
not a
footage looks
monkey.
crazy.
Yeah. And you take the idol off the monkey, and then he puts it on the ground, and then the thing goes down, and the room starts shaking. Like that all happened. There was more than that. There was also a scene that was just the exact snakes scene with scorpions.
Yeah.
Why did it have to be scorpions?
Yeah, why?
I don't like them either.
Who does?
I also hate scorpions.
Yeah, it's like his dad didn't like rats, right? And so his best friend that's with him in this, I hate scorpions. You're like, really? You hate scorpions? Come here, little guys.
My biggest worry for it is that Uncharted has already won the being an adventurer and a Tomb Raider.
And Tomb Raider has too.
But if they're not making them, then I mean,
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Right. But you hit
They
on
were
something
inspired by
really
Indiana
important, is that
Jones
those
and
games were
other
really fun, and I understand what to
old
do in them,
timey
and
games
what's happening, and there's
and
these kind of
movies.
open area arenas in Tomb Raider, and I know Uncharted was getting towards that. I just can't tell what this is. I don't know if you just play through movies and then you go shopping and you come back to playing through movies again. Like I just don't know what's happening in it at all. And also, honestly, the fist combat.
It's half the fun though.
No, first
I
person
don't
fist
know.
combat.
Pistol seems funny and cool, but like, yeah.
Did you see that the game acknowledges the Disneyland ride?
I did, and then in the demo I saw, or whatever, the video I saw, it extended that.
Disneyland
So,
ride.
I actually have the original, I believe it's Pepsi translator card from when the ride opened. We at Disneyland have taken it with us before to do that.
I did that too.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Yeah, still have that, but I'm sure it just says something about beware the eye. There's another thing that happens when you get knocked out in the game. you get a chance to have like, I think they called it like a hero moment or something like that. So what happens is, you know, you get knocked out, and what it shows is it shows your hat hit the ground, and then like you have to like, I don't know, like crawl towards your hat, and then you pick up that, you're dead, but you're crawling towards your hat, and then you pick it up and you put it on, and then it does this little cutscene. It's like dun 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 dun, and then you're back to the fight.
Yeah,
That's fucking awesome, though.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna be fun.
I know. Can you imagine? Like, it's just, so I think this studio makes amazing games, and I'm so excited to play this game. But it just seems really hard to make an Indiana Jones game.
I hope we see, because you know they're showing off a lot of stuff at shows, but I hope when I get the final game, it has some of that machine games mischief and darker humor in it as
It's
well.
gonna have a lot of Nazi killing. So
who doesn't like that?
I was gonna say,
Nazi
hey,
machine games.
who doesn't like that?
Ryan McCaffrey has a hands-off preview that was very positive, but he said it's so Riddick, and I don't. Is that like it's so Wizard?
Yeah,
like,
that's Wizard, Annie.
Is he trying to make Riddick happen? Stop trying to make
that's
Riddick
so
happen.
Raven.
What's wrong with Riddick?
Yeah, I've never played that Riddick game. Anybody?
I hear good things.
Oh,
about it.
that
me
game
too.
was so
I've played
good.
for like 20 years. Like, you should play that Riddick game. Sorry.
Okay, another highlight I think from this week: Secret Levels.
It looks amazing.
This new show, Amazon Prime Video.
Actually, I think there was
from
two
the creators
Riddick games,
of Death,
but yeah,
Love,
they
and
were fun.
Robots on Netflix. It's going to be an animated anthology series about a bunch of different video games, and there's a lot. There's a lot here, and some of them are cool and exciting. Some of them are like, that's an interesting choice.
Product placement.
I mean, maybe. Well, let me run through the list real fast here. So we've got in alphabetical order, Armored Core, which seems to star Keanu
That's
Reeves.
smart.
Concord.
Oh yeah, I
Much
saw
of
the
didn't even
Keanu Reeves
remember what it
preview
was,
of
even
that.
though it's coming out in 3 days.
That was like
Crossfire,
3-4 days
I don't
ago.
really even know what that is. Dungeons and Dragons.
How do you not know what Crossfire is? Yeah.
There's all those little balls.
Crossfire. Crossfire.
Dragons, not exactly a video game, although there have been video games. Exodus is that game that was announced at the Game Awards last December. We haven't heard anything about it since then.
Is that the Matthew McConaughey one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, wait, let
Honor
me.
and Bird-
let me see.
Crossfire. Dungeons and Dragons, not exactly a video game, although there have been video games.
Oh, okay.
Exodus is
I
that
thought this was
game
something
that was
about
announced
it.
at the Game Awards last December. We haven't heard anything about it since then.
Is that the Matthew McConaughey one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honor of Kings, which I think is a free-to-play MMO. So as you see, nothing that I've said so far is like that makes sense.
But
then we start getting about
I'm
stuff.
down with the
Mega Man,
40K one if there's 40K
I
stuff.
mean, that's weird though too. I mean, what they showed already.
What about Pac-Man?
Gritty, realistic Pac. How did you even identify Pac-Man? What is it?
Well,
wasn't it
it's
just
like a mechanical, a round yellow mechanical?
I couldn't
thing with
even
teeth.
read that.
But
from
it's
what
not
they
like you got to
showed.
think like the IP. It's like Love, Death, and Robots. None of that was IP based at all, and it's these short stories that are really interesting and some are action.
Oh, some of them were like
But
Reddit.
wasn't the graphical style different throughout that?
Yeah, and it was all it was different animation studios doing them. It was an anthology, and so I don't care. Like the IP list looks random and weird, but to me it has nothing
doesn't
to do
matter,
with like
The
could a
creepypastas
12-minute
and
short film
stuff.
be interesting or intriguing
But
or not.
aren't you worried if the IP can ruin it? Like you're like, this would be really cool if it wasn't a little robot
And then
boy
it's like,
named
rocka,
Mega Man.
rocka, rocka. Yeah, sure. Yeah, maybe.
Okay, we have much more to discuss on this Secret Level show, but we do have to take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue our discussion of Secret
I
Levels
can't
and then
wait
check
to
in with
see
Game of the
Henry
Year Watch. Catch
Cavill
you in 2 minutes. What was it,
40K
2 and 2? The old Love
series that he's
Connection guy?
working
2
on.
and 2 and 2.
Alright, let's see. Is it a skip?
Hitting exclusive. Don't know what we said. I rush it. Or where they rank 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on Cinefix, IGN, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Why so serious?
Ah, 4D's so neat.
And we're back. It's GameScoop at Gamescom in Germany. We're here on the show floor. If anybody is walking by, I think our audio is being pumped out there. If you'd like to watch the backs of our heads while we talk about video games, feel free to pull up a chair. And then after the show, Justin, what do you think about my shirt that I'm wearing right now?
Well, Damon, I'm glad you asked. I love the shirt you're wearing right now.
Thank you.
We're selling them.
Get one.
Well, Rachel, you can get one around the corner here. We're selling IGN merch at the IGN merch booth behind the Gamescom studio.
Yeah.
Now, Justin, I have lots of shirts, but I need pants.
I can't help you there.
Well,
That's a personal issue.
an underserved market for IGN pants.
Yeah. What do you
Anyway,
think?
we were just discussing this Secret Levels animated anthology show that's coming. Let me continue running on the list of games that are included. We left off, there was Pac-Man. There's Outer Worlds 2, which is interesting because that game's not even out yet.
Yeah.
Then there's just PlayStation Studios, which we know that God of War and Ghost of Tsushima will be represented, maybe more, we're not sure. Sifu is in there. Again, cool game, but a little bit niche. Spelunky, thank you. That was
I didn't really enjoy
Unreal Tournament,
Sifu.
Warhammer 40K.
It was very broken when it came out.
Those are the ones that are confirmed.
I'm so excited about Warhammer.
So, what I want to say is, the sound.
I already
cool,
liked it
glad
'cause
it's
of her
happening,
shirt
I like
being
Love, Death, and
Batman.
Robots, but some of these are just strange choices. So,
Yeah.
I wonder. I don't know. This is
But now we're best
speculation on my
buddies.
part. Maybe the idea they had the idea for the show, and then they sort of like put feelers out, like to Sony, like, hey, we're making this anthology show. Would you like to be involved? And maybe there's a bit of a pay to play.
That one looked
let's get
familiar, like one
Concord.
back.
I mean, that makes sense for Sneak
with
King,
the
right? I just thought
lady
that was
reaching up at the guy's
the Burger
face.
King game.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an
I don't know
element
where I
of, we'll
recognize
give you
him
God
from.
of War, but only if can you also do
I mean,
one on
sure,
Concord?
yeah, it could be
something
something like that. Yeah.
I think there could be something with, and this will be a test bed. If this tests really well, maybe we can talk about a bigger.
I'm pretty sure that's the Astartes guy. Just judging on the
Putting my
work.
business hat for a
It
minute,
looks
like
like they hired
like
the
Sifu were in there in honor of Kings, like
guy who did
like,
Astartes,
for that game
who
to be
works
in there,
for
they must have done outreach to hundreds of studios,
GW now.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it is an eclectic mix, like some big AAA,
Yeah.
some indie, everything in between.
Some very new properties, some very old properties.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
also
like,
a big list for just like, well, are these 2 minutes long? Are they 10 minutes long?
Yeah.
Are they half
Well,
an
it's
hour? Like it's just
Only a
seems
whole
like lot.
half hour,
But
and
Love,
then
Death,
there's
and
just
Robots, I
12
love both
episodes.
seasons of that show. They're incredible, highly recommended. I'm very excited for this. It's what
I thought there was like 3
December,
seasons
right?
of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a date, but yeah, it's supposed to be out in December.
Let's see.
I'm excited. I'm glad it's happening. Okay, let's move right along. It's about time to check in with Game of the Year Watch. Added in
Love,
post, as always.
Robot.
What has changed? There's been 2. So now we have awarded 2 games a 10 out of 10, but they're not typical full releases. There's Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, which is an expansion, and then there's Hades 2, which is still in early access. Only 2 games to get 10. Other than that, there haven't been any really new
3
additions. I think the
seasons.
last time we talked about this, we kind of felt like
Boom.
Helldivers 2 and Final Fantasy
I'm
7
smart.
Rebirth were the front runners. Several other 9s like Unicorn Overlord and Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Tekken 8, games like that. But
That's
I don't know,
one of
do we
those
feel
series
like
I need to keep
things
up
have
on or
shifted?
catch
Rachel,
up
what do you
to.
think? Has the
Is
front
the
runners
new Like a
shifted?
Dragon and
what
all
do we
that
do
stuff
with
in
Erdtree?
Yakuza.
What do we do?
Not for me. I think Hades is a good shout, even if it's in early access. But for me, I'm biased because I'm all about Dragon Age. Putting my hopes
you're
on
waiting,
that to
yeah,
be
you're
Game
Putting
of the
all
Year
your
level.
eggs
Yeah.
in the dragon basket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just I need it. I need it to be.
Yeah.
We had Baldur's Gate last year.
And everything you've seen looks like it's going to be good so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. That's a good sign.
Like some
What
people are
about,
bitching because the art style got updated, but the art
Amazing.
style gets
If you haven't played
updated
it,
every
it's like a
game,
little
so
indie,
grow the fuck up.
Yeah. With very
She
strange
recommended it.
humor.
And it looks
yeah,
really good.
About the British North.
Also, the people that are like, I don't recognize any of the characters. Yes, you do. You're just blind.
Game of the Year?
But nearly.
Unreviewed.
They're bringing back our favorite characters, and maybe they'll be down to clown.
Loved but unreviewed.
Loved but unreviewed. They're clapping for it right now out there.
There's a certain short stack I had my eye on in
I don't know what you think.
Inquisition,
Is
and
it
you weren't
still
allowed to.
Final Fantasy 7 and Helldivers 2.
I mean, both those games have not necessarily had the
Like, she
sticking
wasn't a
power. Like, look,
romance
they deserve
partner.
their good review scores.
That
Like,
made
they're
me
both
sad.
Amazing games, but sometimes you get the benefit of time as the months go by. That Game of the Year kind of starts to.
Yeah, I forgot who
crystallize
I
of,
went
like,
through on that one.
something
But the
seems like it's
second,
going to be amazing and it pops, but
the
then
second run
3,
through is
4,
when
or
I
5
went with
months
the
later,
bowl.
you're like,
That was a good time.
Maybe it was a little bit overhyped. But then sometimes the opposite happens. Like appreciation for a game grows, and there's a groundswell of support over the course of the year. And my read is that Rebirth, and Helldivers 2 again. They deserve their good review scores, but I don't really feel like that they've really risen in esteem as 2024 has gone on. Is the vibe that I get.
Well, do you have a vibe that there is sort of a favorite right now?
Ooh, good question. I mean, I don't
like
know.
At this time last year, we were thinking Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. That's what
Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate emerged as the consensus picks.
That's why I feel like this year yet we haven't had that everyone agrees this is an amazing game. This is
I
up
think
there.
if I had to think about like what our staff thinks, I think Helldivers is the choice. Just because they all had fun in groups and with friends and stuff like that. I think that's might be
Yeah, that's why I enjoyed it more than anything.
The Elden Ring contingent, right? So that makes it tough.
I mean, even Erdtree, again, got a 10 out of 10. Fantastic expansion. Let's just pretend it's eligible for the sake of this discussion. We don't want to send it up to the Supreme Court to decide, But even that kind of came and went, had its moment in the sun, right?
That's how most games are these days, though.
I think,
there isn't 3 games coming out a year anymore. Now it's like 40 games a year.
I would probably argue for an exception for Erdtree.
There's not a lot of people that just play one game for like 4 years anymore.
As bigger or bigger. I'm right at the end.
Yeah, you don't play the new campaign game single player and then go back to Call of Duty like you used to. Because there's more new games.
Well, I mean,
so just do Call of Duty in your off time.
Stats say that.
Yeah, no.
Sort of
my
thing.
game of the year pick personally, probably Balatro still. Balatro and Unicorn Overlord 2, which, Deeper Cuts, I don't expect them to win.
I was going to say, what the fuck's he talking about? I've never heard of them.
Unicorn Overlord and Erdtree, those are my games.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
But Sam, what
No
of
idea.
Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown?
Erdtree, I know.
You've heard me say this before. That's still the best game I've played. It's been a while now, so I need to play some good games. But I have
Which game?
really a lot of interest in Outlaw. Yeah, I mean, you've heard me say that.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
But Sam, what of Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown?
Prince of Persia,
You've heard me say this before. That's still the best game I've played. It's been a while now, so I need to play some good games. But I have really a lot of interest in Outlaws and Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I want to play Outlaws really bad.
Two
That's it.
big,
We've got big
games.
stuff coming the end of the year, so.
And I'm
Plus
into
you get an
Dragon Age.
Assassin
I
George
want it to
friend.
be good. They just keep on showing that same purple level.
Look, I know, but I need it just spiritually, emotionally. I have to believe that it's going to be.
I can't even tell what
big
type of
RPG
game
for
it
me.
is still. I want to see more.
It's
I'm
a
glad
role-playing game.
here. Well, maybe. I mean, it was obvious from the previous games that they're role-playing games, but
Going to be able to romance a bunch of cool, good-looking people.
3.
I don't
Only
see a
3?
problem.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you can romance more people in Cool Spot.
I don't think that's true.
The fuck is Cool Spot?
I don't think there are any people in
There's no way to know.
Are we looking ahead? So it's like you name dropped Assassin's Creed. It's hard to say. Go ahead.
Well, first
I'm thinking it's because they're game journalists, so they have to play a bunch of no-name games.
It was the last one. It was
Inquisition.
Yeah,
They're getting better.
And that's why I talk
It
about
was
some of
just,
these ones that I haven't heard of.
The characters were so
Like, even on their
well-rounded. There was
IGN
that
list, I
real
didn't see
feeling
them.
of, the whole team's come together and now we're going in for one final battle and it's all very emotional and some will live, some will die. So yeah.
That was very similar to Mass Effect. Like they both had that same trajectory, and I thought that worked really well for BioWare.
And I want BioWare to come back punching,
Me too. I'm rooting for them.
I miss
I
old
would love to see their
BioWare.
version of BioWare.
But like this, they pick up the hat. It goes dun dun dun.
It's not the company, though. It's
Punch,
the
punch,
people.
punch, 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 punch.
But Rachel, up to this point, what's been
And
the
a
best
lot of
game
the
you
people
played
aren't
this year?
there anymore, so.
I think it has to be Helldivers, as much because the community around it was crazy, and it was just a really fun time to be into that game, and it brought back Starship Troopers love.
Yeah, and it felt next gen in
Yeah.
the ability for it to morph and change each week and have the orders and
Constantly
stuff
adding
like that. It
stuff
was
to it,
really cool.
See, that's how you do live service.
Okay, Justin. Now we may look ahead.
Got it. Thank you.
That was good.
No, I mean, Rachel name dropped Assassin's Creed earlier.
A lot of people just do live service where it's like, we don't have to finish the game and we can add shit as we feel like and make it all microtransactions. That's just the scummy
sometimes
way
we
to
have
do
a
it.
very good idea, like this is looking great, this is looking shaky, but I feel like a lot of the 2024 games still coming out are kind of like, it's hard, like maybe Indiana Jones is amazing, maybe it's not a Game of the Year candidate. I feel that about Outlaws, I feel it about Assassin's Creed. Like, it's not as sort of obvious and apparent going into the back half of the year which ones are going to be the Game of the Year front runners and breakthrough. So,
A behind the scenes take on Indiana Jones is interesting in 2 ways. In one way, it won't make cutoffs for some people's Game of the Year awards, right?
Yeah.
But in another way, it'll have that late release bias, where people will just be
Recency
playing it
bias.
and just be like,
Still got that
I'll
warm
vote for
glow.
the game I'm playing right now because it's so fun. Maybe it'll win in both ways.
yeah.
It's probably going to be too late for our own awards.
Well, I don't know.
Unless we plan for that and make exceptions.
Yeah, it's tough. We've done that before. I mean, Cyberpunk, I believe, came out like basically the same date, and we just had to get everybody playing it as soon as possible, and it was a really fun effort to get everybody on PCs that can play that game.
Yeah, it is about, that's a little bit of inside baseball, is that, you know, Game of the Year awards are voted on by a large swath of the content team, and they have to get access to the game, which sometimes is very easy and sometimes isn't, so, you know, that can play a part.
But you can vote in a face-off about Game of the Year right now that we add to every single month, which now that I think about it, the cumulative votes are going to be a little bit confusing for late arrivals, but we'll math it out.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Maths.
I do want to shout out, there is a big World of Warcraft expansion.
That's another one. That's coming out very soon, right?
Yeah, I think early access starts like kind of right now in the next week
But
or two.
you have to have that 4D harness to play it, right?
Yeah, you gotta strap you in. Look, sorry guys. No, I mean WoW's had some down years. I've been a World of Warcraft player off and on for almost my entire life, which is weird to think about. And it seems to be coming back. New expansion seems to have great buzz behind it. Again, like depending on how awards work, maybe it is or isn't eligible for Game of the Year. But you know, I hope that the expansion is well liked and you know will earn a spot in some end of year lists.
How is it for you going back in as a? Were you an addict and now you have to kind of?
No, I mean I'm pretty good about like modulating. Like it's not like, okay, time to ruin my life for another 3 months and resubscribe to WoW.
Goodbye,
like,
family.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty good about like, you know, sometimes people like I remember making fun of like Destiny players of like, you know, I've done everything there is to do in Destiny and I'm mad and there's no more to do, and it's like put it down and go play something else. Like you don't need to play it for life, and that's how I am with MMOs. Like there's several of them that I bounce around between, but maybe I'll not be in it for a year and then come back and subscribe for another month or two. But
Do you have a cool mount?
Oh yeah, I got hella cool mounts. I got so many. I got
Like what?
I got a big cat. I got a
Nice.
skeleton horse.
A skeleton
I got a bunch of birds.
I have one of those in Zelda.
Yeah.
Birds?
Yeah.
You're allowed to fly?
There's flying
Oh
mounts.
yeah. Flying mounts was a big deal.
Dragons, flying. You can ride a dragon.
That's what those people are doing.
Yeah.
Getting sick doing it.
Well, now I'm starting to see what the category for best expansion will be. It'll be Erdtree, World of Warcraft, Starfield,
The Final
Shattered
Shape.
Space,
Vessel of Hatred.
Final Shape, and which was that?
Vessel of Hatred, Diablo.
Yes, I was just gonna say that one too. Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
crazy. It's an expansion year.
Always, ever, just like the universe, always expanding.
Always expanding. Just like
Wow.
Nintendo 64's
Can you
controller
explain that to me?
port.
I cannot explain that to you. Yeah, so that the World of Warcraft expansion is coming up next week, but before that is Concord. The PlayStation's next. You know,
I'm so confused about Concord.
it's not free to play, but it is a service shooter. It's a hero shooter. It's their answer to Overwatch. It's a colorful kind of sci-fi Guardians of the Galaxy-ish world, but I don't think there's a lot of hype or excitement about that one. I don't know. We're going to see. But that's coming out very soon. Just sort of running down the list of game releases that we have come up. Sam, tell everyone why they're so excited for August 29th.
I forgot what August 29th.
It's because when Shadow of the Ninja Reborn comes out.
I don't know
That will
what
put
that is.
that will put to rest all discussion of Game of the Year.
What's Shadow of the Ninja? I remember that game from like 2010 or something like that.
No, from like 1991.
Oh, that Shadow of the Ninja. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
not a
let
good
me
game.
just think
It's a very
that.
good game.
No, it's not.
It's a very good game
1991?
with very good. It's a late NES action game with great music, and they're making like a 16-bit style sequel to it with some of the original team. And
Maybe
I'm
in
excited.
another 20 years they'll make a 32-bit like a PS1.
Why
version.
not? Why not? Anyway, that one's coming out for me. But then on August 30th is Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah.
Which a lot of us are playing, Sam.
Yeah.
We can't play it because we're here right now, but I'm totally excited to get home and jump into Star Wars Outlaws.
I know.
It's not fair.
wait.
I need to be
You
a
play it here?
fucking journalist.
Yeah, I
It
can't.
doesn't actually write
Some people
anything. I
can.
just
You
play
just
the
play
games
the
early to be like,
stakes.
yeah, I
You
played
gotta
it
let David
early.
out once in a while.
For like
Like,
nobody
let
else
him
to
roam.
care.
That is not the
Just for me.
Got it.
Star Wars Outlaws. It's a play for me, play for
Just
Sam,
be like,
play for
it was
Richard,
good.
play for Jess.
That's all you're
It'll
getting.
it'll just be. I'm not a huge.
It'll be out on
I love
YouTube
Star
as soon
Wars,
as the
but I'm not
embargo's
a
over.
super nerd, but it's just a big
Everyone-
adventure that I want
It's
to
okay
play.
to just love Star Wars and not obsess
Which
over
reminds
it.
me,
The
there
probably explains
is.
a lot of what you need to know, I'm sure. You know, there's not even lightsabers in this game as far as we know.
As far as we know.
What was that you just said about Star Wars, Damon? Can you?
No, it's already gone.
You're allowed to just like it.
Uh,
You don't have to
Deadlock.
be-
Yeah, that's true though. You can
I
just
think
like
it's
Star
called.
Wars. You don't have to
The
obsess
game I
over
was
it.
invited to by Bike
Okay,
Man this
let's
week.
just move on. Well, before I get into any more hot water, it's time for one more break. And we'll take a look at the rest of the games that we're excited to play that are coming out in the rest of 2024. We will be right back. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah, Deadlock is the Valve game.
Does something.
And I can't stream, but I'll be playing offline and uploading to YouTube directly.
Just making that eyebrow and third your phone playing IGN Millie are active most experts.
I want to jump on it. Just belly flop right on top of one of them.
Welcome back to a very special Gamescom edition of GameScoop. We talk about some highlights of the show. We've talked about Game of the Year watch. And now we're taking a look at all the games that we know are coming the rest of this year and getting excited to play that we were just talking about. World of Warcraft, War Within, Star Wars Outlaws. And then right after Star Wars Outlaws, just a week later, is Astrobot. The next big PlayStation.
Oh man, I kind of forgot about Astrobot.
I know, don't forget, you never forget about Astrobot.
But I did.
But don't.
Okay, got it. I won't.
September 6th is Astrobot. That's a big play for me, Sam.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's more Mario 64 than Star Fox, I'll be happy. But it looks like it has a good balance of both.
I don't think it's very Star Fox.
I don't know. They show that ship a lot.
Yeah, I think there's some flying sections, but I think that's where it ends.
That's what people told me about Star Fox.
No one told you about. No one said that about Star Fox. Rachel, is that a play for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it would be great just to dust off the old PS5.
Oh my gosh, you haven't been using your PS5. Well, I mean, I understand there hasn't been a big exclusive, but sure, got it.
This is just Star Fox. I don't know why I'm
This
being
is not
trolled
Star
by
Fox.
Damon.
Look, this is Star Fox.
No, he just on the dinosaur planet.
Look at how cute and charming it is.
It's so
like,
good.
Everyone think like
Kinda
it's like,
reminds
oh,
me of,
you know, 3D
Ratchet
platformers. There's a million of them.
Oh,
but
look
like,
at-
There really aren't.
kind of, there aren't really that many, right?
No, there's
Yeah,
not.
a while ago I
There's-
saw this
That's really
coming.
true. And also,
It
this
was
is just
last
I
year, I think.
like it when there's kind
It
of
looked really cute.
a theme.
Yeah.
Like Smash Brothers has, which is like just Nintendo. This one's just Sony. I just think it'll be cool to find all the Sony.
I'm so glad to see Astrobot not stuck in VR. You
Yes.
know, heck, like
Yeah.
the pack-in game with the PS5 was so delightful and charming, but it was a little pack-in thing. Like it was over in an hour or two. So to see, you know, Astrobot get a second chance
and
at
you
life
play
and
as
sort of like reach a more
different
mass market
PlayStation
audience,
characters,
mainstream
which
audience,
is fun.
pumped. It's
Or
gonna be
like
great.
you use their powers, I
Super
guess.
excited for
Honestly,
that one.
like really,
Which always
the game of
seems
the year
really
dark
cool.
horse. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
He's the new Sackboy for PlayStation.
Exactly.
I hear it's 80
exactly.
hours.
80 hours long.
That's cool.
On September 17th is The Plucky Squire. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that one.
And that one's going right into PS Plus.
That one has a good look to it.
Yeah.
They've got a cute booth as well. You can go and be
Here?
in the you can go
Oh, I
and be
haven't-
in the Plucky Squire.
Do you remember which hall? 1, 2,
No.
3, 4,
One of
5,
the big
6,
ones.
7, 8, or 9.
or 10.
Yeah, I got to check that out.
Yeah, this is one where you jump from the pages of a storybook and come out into the 3D world. You're 2D in the storybook, 3D in the real world.
Great
quote-unquote
design.
real world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like obviously the art, the whole premise of the game. It's like we've talked before on the show. Like some games like Civilization 7, we know are going to be amazing, but they're hard to make a trailer for. They're hard to kind of show off. This game's the exact opposite, right? Like you see that moment of jumping from 2D to 3D, and you're like, oh man, like it's so cool.
I get it. I want to do that.
Yeah, but I do wonder about the gameplay. You know, it's like, is it going to be interesting to play? Like it's interesting art.
Yeah.
God, you just want everything.
Yeah. Well, look, I want it to look good and play good.
What a diva. Okay, September 19th is Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, or Durger, as the kids like to say. And then September 24th is Epic Mickey Rebrush, which is happening over there. I would have said this, no one was asking for this, but there's a pretty big line of people waiting to check out that game. So
Well, you know, Disney fans be Disney fans.
I guess you're right about that.
I never played it on the Wii, so.
It was a Wii exclusive originally.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange? September 26th is The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. I assume we're all going to play that one.
I think we have to.
Hyped.
We are required to play that one. It's true, but also excited.
Yeah, I hope it's good enough to be a Game of the Year contender as well.
I just hope it's not watered down Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's going to be simplified because it's lacking a camera angle that you can turn and stuff like that, right?
But it could still be,
I think Nintendo has just not let us down in a Zelda in a really long time.
Yeah.
It would just be so unusual.
In
You know,
15
even
years.
the 15 years. I
Or
don't know.
Skyward Sword.
Okay, I was like,
Wow.
I'm trying to do the math on like
You
what.
can't
what
say that. You can't say that on a thing that
I
people
said
can
it.
get
I
mad
said it. What are you gonna do, Sam?
We're gonna have to
Skyward
shut
Sea-
down the internet for a week now.
It's me.
So, I mean, a lot of the focus on that game has been on the art style and on how, you know, it's different after Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom did their thing with Zelda. But, like, sort of an underrated discussion point is that you play as Zelda, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big
People have
deal.
been-
Like,
People have been asking for that for a long time.
30 years people have wanted that. Like, I have 2 girls that are very excited to be playing as Zelda when they see this game coming out, and you know, it looks really cool. I share the same, not like Sam, I wouldn't characterize what you shared as concerns, but just like, it's more of an unknown, right? Like, well, let's just see what we get when it comes out.
I think Nintendo is so good now at giving us open-ended puzzle solving. They're the only company that's doing that.
The bravery to like...
Yeah, exactly.
Just let them put chairs and tables wherever they want.
I think I can see that in this. And if it's
I hope
just...
that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. And maybe it'll be simplistic, but like, we haven't even seen what dungeons look like, really. You know, we haven't really even seen what the open world's like. Now, it is strange that it's just actually set in Hyrule. Like the one from Link to the Past, basically, that was also used.
I don't even play
the
Zelda.
sticker
I know that.
wall game. Yeah. One. But
I haven't played Zelda.
Maybe
in years.
there'll be
I used to
a variation on the world or something like that too. You know,
had to go to
we
a
got
friend's
the depths,
house.
we got Dark Worlds, we got Majora's Mask type stuff. We'll see.
Or like my
September
cousin.
30th is the Starfield Shattered Space expansion. Then getting into October,
Actually,
the
no,
4th is the Until Dawn
Ocarina of
remake,
Time on
which is cool
Game
that's
Boy,
happening.
so.
But then the 8th is Silent Hill 2. And I feel like there hasn't been a lot of buzz about that
Real
one.
gamer over here.
I mean, I hope it's good.
I'll go back in.
Yeah.
Like Silent Hill 2 is a major game for me.
Yeah.
As a huge horror fan, so. But the stuff I've seen feels like it's missing the gut punch of the original Silent Hill 2. Like they've just sanded the sort of sharper edges off. So.
Really?
We'll see. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know the series at all. You can tell that already, that it just looks like kind of dulled.
Yeah, I mean for me, but maybe that's, you know, I'm being nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping that would be like a leader in, survival horror games usually are a leader in graphics, and they just are the best looking games around. And this does not look like the best looking game.
Yeah, it looks like Resident Evil.
That's okay. It's be a really fun
simplistic.
game, but that's one thing about I think the horror genre is good at, is pushing the limits of like, this looks next gen, it looks amazing, especially if it's a remake. So like Resident Evil 4, I mean, oh my god.
And Dead Space remake.
Yeah, and they just push the limits. I love those games.
Yeah. So we'll see how that one turns out. Sam, on October 17th, you're gonna play Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Yeah, that's my spooky season game.
Cool. It is pretty spooky.
Really spooky, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I usually review the Mario Party, so we'll see if that happens this year. This one,
Oh yeah, so this year I'm doing all
better.
the Until
It looks
Dawn
like the
games.
whole idea is that they're trying to address there's
They're
not
all
enough
the,
content in those games.
Yeah.
That it's not enough just to have 5 game boards and move on.
Dark Horror Pictures.
The day after is the game that we were talking about last
Anyways,
week, the Retro Realms, the new Halloween and Evil
My
Dead
brain's
games. Did you
not
catch these,
braining.
Justin?
No. What?
Yeah, I know. They're making 2 different 16-bit platformers.
What?
One of them is based on Halloween.
Cool.
I mean, maybe.
What?
I mean, I hope so.
What do you mean?
Well, he's concerned that like in Halloween, you don't really go on a stabbing spree. It's more about
Halloween is a very slow-paced, methodical.
predatory-
But you're playing as Mike Myers, just slashing through dozens and dozens of people.
I don't
So
see
it's
the
a bit
problem.
like, okay, it's a little bit more Texas Chainsaw.
You got to
Massacre.
break out of the
being a
mental
whiner.
institution somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
You can either do stealth
I mean, it makes sense for
or stabbing.
Evil Dead.
Remember that scene in Halloween where he's just driving the car?
Yeah, that's what the movie is. It's not just.
Yeah, but in this, there's a
Let
bunch
him
of
have
people
some
in front of the
fun.
car.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. Have some fun. October 26th is Black Ops 6. No, big game.
Yeah.
Launching into Game Pass, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Rachel, on Halloween night, you're just gonna be home playing Dragon Age: The Veilguard. That's a good Halloween.
Pretending I'm not in for the trick-or-treaters. And
Okay. Yeah. No. It's just
Yeah.
lights off outside.
Yeah.
All the lights off, just playing.
Just leave
Do
a
not
bowl out
disturb.
there.
I'm playing Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
It would
Man,
be really
we can
cool
see you
if it
through
was
the window. We know you're in there.
It would be cool if it was like a Halloweeny game. You know, we didn't know that. That'd be cool. But I don't think so.
There's probably there'll be some scary parts in it.
Maybe.
But if there's a skeleton in it, then it.
Yep.
I don't think
Yeah,
any
I
of the
mean, it's very
Dragon Ages
purple.
really had any horror elements.
November
Like, even
7th
when
is
you were
Mario
dealing
and
with,
Luigi
like, the
Brothership. I'd almost forgotten about that one.
dragons
Yeah,
and-
that one looks good.
Yeah, that game came out of
Wow.
nowhere at either the last Nintendo Direct or one of the recent
Yeah,
ones, and
I'm
like
trying to think.
instantly
There
won
wasn't
everybody
really any
over. They're like,
scary
okay. I'm in
At
for
least
some
not
more
for
Mario
me.
and Luigi.
Yep.
I mean, it's a great franchise. I mean, I like out of all the Mario RPG franchises, it's my favorite. I like it more than
Paper.
Mario. Yeah, I always have. I think they're sort of silly and goofy and a little bit more lighthearted. Well, so is Paper Mario. I don't know. I like them. I like them all.
And then November 14th is Dragon Quest III, the HD 2D remake.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah,
I've never played 3. I know, like Jared Petty, friend of the show, and many other people that have played all the Dragon Quest.
Drockway.
Drockway. Is that 3 and 5 are sort of like generally considered some of the very best ones, and 3 I've never played, so good candidate for a remake, I think.
Quest games.
And it just looks so good.
I just can't wait to have these as an anthology.
not
Just like
for
this
me.
is the way you can play Dragon Quest for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
that'll be nice.
The day after that is Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I believe we're all excited for.
Oh yeah.
Then the 20th, this is an interesting one. Stalker 2. That's a wait and see for me. I've never played Stalker 1, so.
Well,
I'll wait and see how
that is kind of doing what I'm talking about, which is like kind of pushing the limits
push
of
it
like
up,
graphical intensity with horror. I mean, it could be a game that's like a real looker.
Could be.
I just
Yeah,
want to
if
point
you
out
play
Darth
the
Vader's walking
Gamma,
by.
Oh my gosh.
if you play the
Everybody be
Stalker
cool.
Gamma
Sorry.
mod,
Sorry.
it really kind of
and then, of course, December 9th is Indiana Jones, and then sometime in December is Lego Horizon Adventures.
Looks good as fuck, plays good as fuck.
Again, a little bit of an
This
odd.
year on Switch too.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
heavily
interesting.
modded at that
PS5 and
point.
Switch.
That's what I
to
mean
make it
about
that
these
good.
games being like again, sometimes you just
It's
get
a
a vibe from a
2007
game.
game,
Like,
so-
oh yeah, I can tell that's gonna be great. But like Lego Horizon, maybe that game's amazing, right? Like maybe it's so fun and so cute, and
The
then
Lego
maybe it's
games
just
are
kind of
great.
meh. Like, yeah, just have to get our hands on it and see. Read the review.
I think all
on
these games sound
IGN.com.
so playable.
Yeah,
like it
playable.
just sounds like a fun fall.
I think so too.
It's not. It doesn't have an immediate
That's what I was
AAA
thinking, too.
standout.
There was like nothing for like the
Maybe,
last 3
you know,
or 4
Assassin's Creed or
months.
Call of Duty or something like that. But
one
like,
game
I
here
just
and
am
there.
really excited to try everything.
And then
It's a good
now
fall.
it's like
Suddenly.
game.
Suddenly.
Earlier this
I know
year, in
Rachel's
like
number one pick
January
is
stuff,
Dragon
there's
Age.
nothing.
So if you're
So I
going
was
to the
playing
one game you're
Valhalla
most
and
excited
all that
about,
stuff.
Zelda. Echoes
Yeah,
of
yeah. I mean,
Wisdom.
but both Ubisoft games are just right there.
Yeah. I'm definitely into the Ubisoft games. What do you think, Justin? Number one.
I can't pick just one.
Yeah, you can.
I blacked out. I don't remember any of the games we just talked
I
about.
will assign you a game, and it will be Shadow of the Ninja Reborn.
Shadow
Great.
of the Ninja
I mean, that
Reborn.
sounded
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it does sound cool. I'll pick Astrobot. Very excited to play it.
No, I forgot about it.
Okay, you can have Astrobot.
You can have
I
Shadow of
pick
the Ninja.
Shadow of the Ninja
Great.
Reborn. A couple other odds and ends to pick up that have fallen out of Gamescom this week. Borderlands 4 was announced.
Yeah.
Well, after that movie, they left them wanting more, and here we are.
Which is it? Was that planned to sort of like be a victory lap after
Well,
the movie, or was it like in
jokes
the wake of the movie? We're like, let's get a little teaser trailer
I think
together.
it's planned. And jokes aside, like Nintendo should have announced a freaking giant Mario game after the Mario movie. Like, it made so much sense. Now, even better than that would be when the things are out concurrently, like
That's
the
the way it
good
used
old
to be.
days where every movie had a stupid video game with it,
You know,
including Chronicles of Riddick.
I would like us to stop getting a graphic and us calling it
Oh.
like an announcement. Like, I'm still sore about
What about a tattoo?
Elder Scrolls. Like, where's that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
stop showing us just a title card.
Yeah.
That's basically what this. I think it's like 90 seconds long, but all it is this.
Yeah, Randy
What-
Pitchford just said, oh, there's secrets in it, but
What about the Mass Effect legs?
Yeah. 10 years ago or
well,
whatever
also
it was.
it's always like, oh, you know that massively successful series, we'll probably make another one.
Should we make
You
another
know?
one?
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's for investors or what. It would be nice. I mean, I don't mind if they do that. If like the next day there's a trailer, and then like a few months later it's out. Like that's fine.
I mean,
give
they
me the
do-
title screen. But when it's the 10 years after the title screen,
Like, I
Metroid
understand
Prime.
you have to announce your video game. Like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
working on this video game, but teaser trailers are hard to get excited about. But, you know, they're mood pieces always, right? Like, I don't know if you're going to bring it up. Like, Mafia announces a teaser trailer. Like, okay, I'll play that
Best
game.
one ever, Fallout 3.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was the...
Because you got a full
yeah.
sense of what was going to happen just from the stupid teaser, and it was playing that song, about setting the world
Yeah, I
on
think
fire. or whatever
Rockstar do
changes.
it best. They just go, here, look, bam, like here's
Yeah.
here's the next GTA.
Smell a feature here. Best teaser trailers.
That's
Yeah,
good.
I like it.
But no, the listeners don't. Just forget that. We'll let us handle that. I don't know about Borderlands. I liked Borderlands 1, loved Borderlands 2, got pretty bored with Borderlands 3. It just feels like peak Borderlands was like 2012, and here we are.
What if they made a Lego Borderlands?
I mean, they. Sure, you can make a Lego out of everything.
It was also like everybody talks about Handsome Jack and the writing and the memorable characters, but like it's also in 2012 like RPG shooter hybrids and character powers was a lot more kind of innovative, fresh thing than it is now. Where now that's just kind of every video game.
Yeah.
So you know,
It was the only one doing that kind of humor
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
like kind of
Yeah.
taking the mick out of itself, whereas like now it's
yeah,
that's
exactly.
pretty
So
standard for a lot.
I think it's
gonna
gonna
have
be
to
tough
do
for
something to
find,
stand out.
Yeah, what is Borderlands' place in the shooter category today? That's Randy Pitchford's problem, not mine. And of course, the biggest news of the week is that Balatro is coming to Dave the Diver.
I am so fascinated to see.
It's
crossover of the
We don't know
century.
to what extent. There's announced a partnership trailer, and one of the partnerships is that Balatro is going to be playable inside Dave the Diver. Presumably not the entire game, but to some extent you can just play Balatro inside Dave the Diver. And I think that, I mean, they already put Godzilla in it, and now they're putting, it's like, Dave the Diver, like, how are they wooing me?
Are they here? Do we need to introduce you?
Yes.
Yeah.
There needs to be a meet cute between me and Dave the Diver dev.
It's all been a
Between
secret
you
love
and
letter.
Godzilla.
What's that?
Between you and Godzilla.
Also a meet cute between me and Godzilla.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe they'll put like, you know, some kind of murder in it too, and then it'll be the perfect game for you.
It's not murder, it's gore that I like.
Okay, well
Now,
that's worse.
sometimes
I
it
was just
comes out
trying
of
to,
it.
I was
It's
trying to
hard to
soften
get.
it for the audience.
Trying to get.
Not murder, it's gore.
See that the number that's ticking down? 5 seconds. That's how much time we have left. 5 seconds.
Okay, Splatterhouse.
Splatterhouse. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us for this very special Gamescom edition of GameScoop. I hope everybody had fun. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Justin. Thank you to everyone that's walking around the booth here and being part of the show. Everybody, please come to the front of the IGN booth. We have waivers for you all to sign. Please don't leave before you do that.
He's walking away. That guy's walking away.
Corrado, can you go get that guy? Thank you to everyone working behind the scenes to make this episode possible. We're going to call it a day here at our Gamescom studio, but be sure to join us tomorrow for the Gamescom Award Show, celebrating the best and most innovative games at Gamescom. It's going to be a big, crazy, exciting show. We can't wait to bring it to you. Until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Nice.
That's a pretty good toss. All right, let's see.
Gamescom is officially underway.
Let's raise the stakes, shall we?
Today we're checking out some of the biggest games of the year, including
Where is he?
Star Wars Outlaws, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle,
And who the are you?
Stalker 2, and more. Gamescom Studio live on IGN starts right now.
Watch me.
We got tons of Max. Well,
Oh.
what's up, everybody?
I
Welcome
needed
back
to
to
test
Gamescom
it.
Studio Day 2. I'm Damon, this is Stella, and that's Max.
Welcome. As you can see, the Gamescom floor is now officially open for business, and we've got tons of awesome stuff lined up for today, from gameplay demos and interviews with devs right here on our stage in Hall 7 to all the
It's the
stuff
same
going on
stuff, though,
everywhere else
and-
in all the other halls.
And then I'll swap to
Yeah, coming up very
surprise.
shortly, we're talking to the developers of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and then playing around with a replica of
Yeah,
the Pip-Boy
this
from
is what
Prime
happened,
Video's
really.
Fallout series.
So they're just
Later on,
replaying
we're
it.
going to see Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 in action, as well as a look of some of the new content coming to Payday 3.
Yeah, so
Before we
same
get to all
exact
that,
stuff.
though, let's take a second to acknowledge that the biggest video game event on the planet also cares about the planet. Thanks
Yeah,
to the Gamescom
and they
Goes
talk
Green
about the
initiative,
plastic and all that.
Gamescom runs on 100%.
All right, so we're gonna end this real quick. I will be back in like 2 minutes because I gotta go to the bathroom real quick, and then I will redo the title. Actually, I can do that now. We're sitting here, not doing nothing. And I'll double up the dad advice for today. How about that? Kihinde, Jerry, still can't read Arabic, Ayomi 560, and I think that's everybody. Thank you for those fellas. Welcome, Mobile Infantry Troopers. Now you're all one of us. Dad wisdom for today. Somewhere in the world, someone thinks you would be the perfect person. I don't know why I'm having trouble reading all of a sudden. But that's true. You know, there's someone out there for everyone. If only 1% of the population of the planet likes you and thinks you're a 10, that's over 1 million people, dude. That's a lot of people. Someone out there's got to think you're funny. Alright, and then Wild Uncle Shenanigans. There is no speed limits on sidewalks. Yeah, drive as fast as you want on there. Don't actually follow this advice. Remember, it's just for video games. His advice is not practical advice. Anyways, let me change these titles and then I will be right back. And what I'm coming back with is Delta Force Hawk Ops, which is now just called Delta Force because they wanted simplicity, I guess. Or something. I don't really know why they changed it. I read the thing, but I forget. Drops, which will actually give keys. So make sure you're on that. Oops. Copy that over to there. Same shit, different day. Why is it set to Kingdom Come Deliverance? It auto swapped me from special events or just chatting, whatever I was on. to fucking Kingdom Come. No wonder. Okay. Alright. I'll be back. Let me go to the bathroom real quick. It'll take like a minute. Just longest part will be washing my hands. That's set. Alright, cool. Be right back.